to.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Thursday Night Frenzy, where Wonderbat is not canon because Jared is here, and the topics they're more like a set of guidelines. Speaking of that squeaky clean bastard, let's bring him in.
How you doing, dude?
All right, I'm doing pretty good. So the reason we're doing the Thursday Night Frenzy this week instead of the Friday Night Frenzy is your boy's got a con. Your boy's got to make some money. He's got to sell some comic. Why am I doing it like a jerk? I don't know, but
why are you doing it like an Italian? As an actual Italian, I'm offended, bro.
Well, also joining us is a man who roots out Korean is his favorite gender. We have Chris.
What's up, brother?
¿Qué es esto?
I am very offended by this pasta face. I am very offended.
Actually, hey, I had spaghetti yesterday, so I get the I pass.
No, you do not. No, you do not.
I have the spaghetti
The
pass.
rules are, unless an actual Italian gives you the pass, which I deny you I deny you the rank of pasta pass. You do not get to do that.
Well, as a person of Irish descent, I do not give you the Irish pass.
Why would I want an Irish pass?
Because, don't you know, laddie, the Irish were awesome.
Okay.
Also, hi, Tabby.
Hey,
Hi,
what's
Tabby.
up, Tab? How you doing, dude?
Hey.
Chris, can I have the Korean pass?
I don't think you want to give Nick the Korean pass, Chris. I gotta be honest.
We're denying each other passes.
Tevia, who knows at this point? Do we ever stay on topic on this damn show?
I mean, it's literally in the name.
Guidelines, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so we got lots to talk about this week. I got some headlines, and if there's anything you guys want to talk about, just put in the private chat. We'll be happy to bring it up. But let's just go straight into the headlines. Wait, I gotta find. There we go.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
All right, so yes, Jared, yes, that will happen. So welcome to Headline Hysteria. We're talking about all the topics that are important, just not important enough for a full stream. So today I want to do one that we were going to talk about last week on the Friday Night Frenzy. But I'm still my ass is still relatively chapped from this, so all right, we're going there. Linkin Park has a new singer and she sucks.
Yeah, I listened to it and I'm like, no, I don't like that.
Yeah,
right,
don't debut your new singer in a live concert either.
Yeah, you know? and I even listened to like the studio, like that song. It just sounds like generic. It sounds like a song. A current year song is trying to sound like a song for 2009. It just does not work.
Yeah.
But I'm going to prove my cred here. So, all right. Here we have a copy of Meteora, all right?
Man, look at that artifact from the 1850s.
Oh, this is an artifact. I received this very album, this very, very freaking album.
From Gandhi.
For Christmas. Well, close. I think in 2004. Christmas of 2004.
BC.
Wow.
This copy, I've had this for 20 years. There are people listening to this. That the CD is older than some people listening to the stream, watching the stream right now. Okay, this album has got me through some shit. All right, like some very traumatic stuff. I just popped this album in my CD player and I listened to it. So
you have a CD player? Man, you are old.
I actually still have my high school CD player.
I remember once.
One second.
I remember once my mom gave me her old CD player before I had an iPod, and that was like my entire world opened up because I was like, I can listen to music now. And then when I get an iPod, I'm like, you suck.
I think I put it up. I know. Okay. Sorry, I was actually going to bring out my high school CD player. Oh,
Watch,
God.
it's gonna have a dinosaur that goes around and reads the CD.
Oh, fluff off. But yeah, that thing's been to heck and back. But it still works, actually. I found it like a year or so ago and I actually tested it and it still worked. So they don't like they used to. But yeah. The singer, she's absolute garbage. Not only that, but apparently she's a Scientologist and she was a Danny Masterson defender.
Oh, that's not a good combo.
Yeah. And also it's so bad that Chester's son has actually come out and spoken out against it. And two of the members, they've stepped away from Linkin Park. They're not going to tour anymore. Oh, they're getting on there and no. I guarantee you, they didn't agree with the direction. So they just kind of quietly stepped away to not, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you've been I love Mike Shinoda. The guy's talented as hell, but he's been really huffing that diversity the past few years. And I guarantee you, at least one of the reasons they hired the singer is as a shield. Because I've already seen it. Oh, you don't like her because you're sexist. No, I like her because she sucks. Like, here's the thing. I'm not entirely opposed to a female singer. Like someone like Lizzie Hale, or there's tons of singers who could actually
Amy Lee.
Evanescence.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I get tired. Okay, I gotta rant a little bit. Yes, Amy Lee is talented. Can we please all shut the F up about her? It's just every time I bring a female singer, it's Amy Lee. Is that the only female singer you guys know? Sorry.
Well, dude, I'm a fan of Karen Carpenter, but she's been dead for longer than either of you two existed.
Well, we're gonna cast a resurrection spell. We're gonna resurrect Karen Carpenter and make her sing for Linkin Park.
Dude, that woman was like Chester. She had God-given gifts.
Actually, you know who would have been perfect for Linkin Park? Janis Joplin.
Wow. See, I always thought Janis Joplin would have been perfect for Guns N' Roses.
Okay, now this needs to be like a stream sometime where it's like take dead celebrities and put them in modern bands. Like that would be.
You can do it with AI.
I've seen some of it. I have seen some of it. I've heard Freddie Mercury sing "Mr. Brightside."
Oh wow.
See, that's
Freddie Mercury. There's another one. Whew.
Like if Freddie Mercury, I guarantee you, if Freddie Mercury had lived, he would have loved the Killers. Like there would have been a collaboration.
Doesn't look a thing like Jesus.
Yeah, I'm a big Killers fan, and if anybody is worthy of the torch of Queen, it's the Killers. I know that's kind of sacrilege, but I don't care. But yeah, let's go on to our next one. This one is a bit more recent. So apparently, Sony found
What the hell is that price tag?
Not even the price tag, but
Wait.
your
the
whole
fact that-
presentation.
and it doesn't have its little stand that they fandangled. By the way, I love Xbox had a fantastic response back in the day when they announced the PS5, and they were like, "Look, you can put on its side," and then they're like, and then someone tweeted, "Hey Xbox, can you put the Xbox on side?" And then the next picture from Microsoft is the
Sideways.
Xbox on sideways.
See,
Dude, I watched
sorry.
Cerny's. Sorry, I don't. Who's speaking? I don't want to talk over him.
you're
Whichever.
speaking, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I watched Cerny's demo, and his presentation communicated in the absolute worst way possible the value of this 700, 800, whatever, how much it's going to cost you, piece of crap. That in an economic downturn that we're facing, where people are like struggling to pay rent and they're eating cats and stuff, like how
oh my
the hell,
god!
how the hell are you justifying this $700 investment?
Dude, why are you
Yeah.
Haitian? Why are you Haitian?
It didn't even like the video that they showed a side by side. I'm sitting here on my 4K TV at about 3.5 feet away from the screen, and I'm like,
It
I don't
doesn't
see
look
the
any
difference.
different.
And what's worse is, didn't they like most of the games they shown are like PS4 games, like Last of Us 2.
Yeah. No
Like-
games.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, as much as I hate Last of Us 2, it looks amazing for a PS4
Oh, yeah.
game.
It's a gorgeous game.
Yeah, but that and I'm like, well, I was talking to my dad about this because not only they also take out the disc drive. It's kind of funny, it's sold out on Amazon right now. The PlayStation
Yeah, the disc
disc
drive.
drive.
I mean, let's be honest. The scalpers are buying those. That's not,
The scalpers can keep that shit. I ain't paying for that.
Yeah,
I'm not buying
exactly.
that
But
crap. There's no games.
that's the thing. When I was trying to get the Series X, it took me a long time. But one of the things that extended it was looking for one with a disc drive, because I'm sorry, I do physical games, or as close to that as you can get in an industry that now requires you to install your games, but still.
Yeah.
See,
Dude,
and you
this
know
industry is crashing.
Nintendo is going to eat Sony's lunch because they
Yeah,
still
they've
have
been
to
doing it
unveil
so far.
Well, no, because of the Switch 2, and that thing is probably going to cost either $300 or $400. Okay, this will never happen. But
I think
what
I know what you're
I want
referencing.
is for a Nintendo Direct is all right, and to tell us more about the Switch 2, here is our good friend Steve Race, and he just walks on screen. He says $299, and then walks off. No,
You know what's kind of funny?
The story repeats itself.
No, I have to do it the modern way. Says $299, refuses to elaborate, leaves.
Yeah.
I could even see Phil Spencer at Xbox doing that to screw with Sony.
Oh my god!
I don't think people understand the ramifications of what's happening. Like, the video game crash of 2023 is here, and it's been affecting. Like, we're done. The AAA industry, like Ubisoft, is going to go under, guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
I'm not grave dancing because I have friends that work there. Like that, there are some really talented, great people.
Someone's going to buy Ubisoft. Their IPs are too valuable.
Well, aren't they actually exploring taking the company private?
Yeah. Well, they've always had, like, I remember with, I think it was Verant or Vivendi or one of those V companies was like trying to buy them out of their leadership or whatever at one point, and they they ended up using warfare with stocks. But the problem is that Star Wars game was crap. It sold poorly. Now the black revisionist Assassin's Creed is going to sell like crap.
They should have followed your plan. You gave them a great game and they abandoned your ideas. Sorry.
Well, I think it was more Jesse Ritter. He was the main writer. I was part of a team.
I'm sorry, but every time Assassin's Creed Shadows come up and you're here, I had to bring that up.
Yeah, it is like Schadenfreude watching this thing burn. I want to bust out a violin and start playing. But the thing is, though, is this is echoing across everything now. Like Concord cost $200 million for Sony, and then they're going to release this again. They're going to release this hardware for a market that doesn't exist.
Apparently, I've heard
people jobs.
I've heard that it was either Concord or Dustborn, but it's known as the biggest disaster in gaming history.
Oh yeah,
more than Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, and that says a lot.
Well, Concord has been in development for 8 years, so pre-production off and on and stuff. But $200 million that's a fireable offense. Like, that's leadership needs to be replaced.
And the problem is, it was 8 years. Nobody said anything, and the trend that it was trying to chase died out 4 years ago. Like, it was an Overwatch clone. That game should have come out in 2019.
And you know what's kind of funny? On that, and to have you brings up a good point about being live service, I started playing Warhammer Space Marine 2. Fantastic, by the way. But the thing is, it like exploded online, and I gotta wonder, part of it is because it's a complete game. It's not live service. You get everything. And I checked because before I logged on, I wanted to see how you unlock gear and stuff. Just by playing the game, no microtransactions whatsoever, from what I could see.
See, the problem with these Flavor of the Month games is they come out, they're great for like 3 months, and then they get corrupted. I mean, remember when we were saying the exact same things about Helldivers 2?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear an inside scoop?
Go ahead.
Over 100 people lost their jobs at Blizzard today.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, LinkedIn is a bloodbath right now. I don't know what Thursday the 12th is evoking, but tech companies across the board are just laying off by the hundreds employees right now. Today, for some reason, above all days, is there like a fiscal quarter I'm not aware of?
I think I know for I don't know if it's just I know some companies October is when they roll over. I don't know.
Dude, it's horrifying. I do not envy anybody that if you are a prospective 20-something that is looking to go to school or do whatever for video games, avoid it. Don't do it. And
I just want to say this could have been me. This could have been me. It's like in like the mid 2010s, I was actually on the path to getting my degree, and I probably would be graduating right now because I graduated with my associate's degree in 2017, and I was going to go for my bachelor's in game design. That was actually going to be what I was doing, and if I'd done that, it would take me another let's say 2 to 3 years. But the thing is, COVID would have hit, so that would have
that would have.
I would be just getting into my career if I even got a job at all. So I dodged a nuke.
That industry is collapsing.
Well, the other thing is, so is the comic book industry because Marvel and because it's kind of funny. I was talking to my co-host Britt about this. We were talking about this absolute and all-in universe they were announcing. First off, pre-orders on it I've heard are crap. So it's like that's not
that's a crap product.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, it's not just absolute Batman; it's also their tie-in. But Nick, what this means when I watched their little hype up video. So, for those of you that don't know, back in 2011, 2012 timeframe, the reason why we got the new 52 is AT&T came to them and said, "Get your sales up, or you're done." So, the way they were talking. But in the video to hype up the absolute and all in kind of sounds like that Zaslav came to them and said, I could license out the crap you do to other companies, right?
See, the thing is, I do have to disagree with you a little bit here because every time somebody says, "Oh, this industry is collapsing," it's almost always a bad product thing. Like, look at movies. People are saying movies are dying for a while, but look at this year has been probably one of the best years for movies in a long time. Like, how many hit movies have we had this year? It's almost like release good product, make money.
Well, it means it really begs the question of how much of this was intentional. How much of the sabotage of these industries, like, how they say don't attribute to malice, which can be explained by incompetence. There's another saying that's if it keeps happening over and over, it's not an accident.
Or it's insanity. Either one of those, is actually a valid excuse with these companies. Honestly,
the most I'll say is I don't think it's some grand conspiracy. I don't think people are meeting in a room plotting the demise of the video game industry. I think it's just a bunch of incompetent or malice individuals, like individual bad actors that collectively are ruining things. I think it's more. That's my theory. That's my thing.
So one of the things my dad said back before when he was still lucid was when nothing makes sense, follow the money. And one trend I've noticed, it's funny, he's not even the Jew. But
it's funny. He's not even the Jew.
Yeah, he's the Korean side. But anyways, he when he says that, I look at our entertainment media and I look at who are the key players. And for example, who owns a good chunk of Western game development? Tencent.
China.
Tencent is a Chinese company. What just came out and broke all sorts of sales records? A game from China. There is a business practice in China called sparring partners. I can't remember what the Chinese term for, like the actual Chinese word for it is, but basically what they'll do is they'll acquire or work alongside a partner company and they'll learn all of the tricks of the trade. And then when that company is no longer, when they've learned all they could, then they cast that company off like a tissue, throw it in the trash, and sabotage the company so that they become the prominent business leader. And I'm starting to see
they certainly use Blizzard as a sparring partner. If you
Yeah.
if we're going to apply that logic, it definitely applies to Blizzard because they welcomed Blizzard with open arms, and then they booted him out.
Yep. And I see that across the board. I see that with like Blizzard's trash now. I like all these other like all that woke shit. It makes me wonder, like, because again, these are businesses. These aren't just like, hey, we got free money. Like, this is a business. And if you're a CEO or you're answering to shareholders who are right pissed off when they see their share values go down, after you launch a game that's full of woke trash and nobody buys it, and you continue to keep launching woke trash, that means you're doing that intentionally. That means that there is something you are doing that is antithetical to earning money at your company, and either you are a problem or your benefactor who's telling you to do that is a problem.
Or it could also be an ego thing, because the thing about business people is that they don't like to admit that they're wrong. I saw this with WB.
Yeah, like we have an entire class of people, like these CEOs. They just hop from company to company. They stay for 6 months and make the company worse. They take their big fat of cash and they go to another company to save it. And like there's there's an entire class of old white men, let's say, who just do this. They hop it's disgusting.
Dude, I watched a producer do that to the company I worked on. She freaking screwed our game, and then after coming from Sony or SOE, screws our game, pulls all of her hippy dippy feminist crap, makes it a hostile work environment where everybody's walking on eggshells. And then after we release the game and it's complete garbage, goes off to some other company, let's just say EA, gets in photos with Anita Sarkeesian, and then launches Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda. And it's like, who's the common variable here? Like.
Also, let's be honest, Veilguard is make or break for BioWare. If that game fails, like this is their last chance. Like, they probably do have like a new Mass Effect, because they gained a lot of goodwill with the Legendary Edition. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, because the Legendary Edition's fantastic.
It
is.
But
it's still censored as like the ass removal and like all like. No, honestly, like why would I want to get the Legendary Edition when I can just play my original discs and emulate them?
I just came up with a fantastic hashtag to spam BioWare. Hashtag release the ass cut.
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. All right. So speaking of something that's complete and total ass, apparently some guy wants his paycheck. So
what happened was
no. I need to finish my joke. So what he's doing, he's engaging in the American pastime. Sue the pants off of Disney.
Well, so for here. I came across this. Super by James Gunn can go in a fire. So anyway, I watched part of it. I couldn't. It's too stupid. But so for this one, apparently, so remember at the end of Rogue One when they recreated Tarkin?
Oh, he was all throughout the movie.
Apparently, that was done without the actor's permission, according to a close friend of the actor.
Okay, wow. I actually need to do some context to this, because you're half right, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney had permission from the Tarkin estate, which probably meant like some money exchange hands, and so the estate. But apparently, what he's saying is, at some point, Tarkin, it was an agreement. It has to be in writing, otherwise this has no merit. Of not to use his likeness for anything. I'm sorry, this just screams of a guy who wants his payday. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
Like, what? Like, why wait so long after Rogue One? Like it's just.
Yeah, why now? Like, what about now makes sense for that lawsuit to suddenly be launched?
Maybe the industry, maybe because the industry is like really recreating like a lot of dead actors, like in Alien Romulus. Or Chris Reeve.
God, please don't, please. I had to have therapy for years over that scene, Jared.
Years. That movie came out last year. What are you talking about? Years.
It feels like I've been in therapy for years.
No, but I'm
Here's
like,
Cushing. Thank you, Dave.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I see where you're going, Nick. Although it does sound like something shady Disney would do.
Oh, you mean the same Disney who told Alan Dean Foster, we're not going to pay you royalties because your contract was signed under Fox. When we bought Fox, we didn't buy their contracts. Or even better, when somebody dies on their when somebody dies on a property that they're renting out to somebody else, where they actually have a very solid legal defense, instead of going with the official route, they're like, they signed up for Disney Plus. They waived their right. You know.
Oh, that was so bullshit.
What the
Well,
heck is going on with that?
Do you guys remember Crispin Glover from Back to the Future?
Oh God, yes.
No.
Yes.
Remember when he sued?
Yeah.
He sued?
Yeah. He
What
sued
happened?
and won.
All right, Jared. I'm gonna explain it to you. So you remember in Back to the Future Part 2, where George McFly, he was like upside down by obviously a different actor.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to appear in the second film, so they recast him. Okay, fair enough. But what they did is they had molds of Crispin Glover's face for like special effects in the first film. So what they did is they used that to create Crispin Glover prosthetic to use on the actor.
That
And
sounds like
Crispin-
something Hollywood would do.
Yep.
So he did a lawsuit, and it was
he
actually
won.
kind of a landmark lawsuit.
Wow.
Yeah, but that goes to the same thing with what they're doing now with digital likenesses. Is
Mhm.
if you don't give consent and it's not in writing, then Crispin Glover proves that you can win, that you have every right to sue these people.
Yeah, like for example, Bruce Willis sold the rights to his likeness for AI recreations, but he was already kind of going out of Hollywood. This is like his last payday. But the thing is, he can't act again. But he's got like the mental issues. So like,
even Stan Lee did that before he died.
Yep.
actually, by the way, with Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, he did the same thing. He actually sold the rights to his voice to Disney. So Disney has the legal right to use James Earl Jones's voice in perpetuity. And so, speaking of spaceships, let's reintroduce the mistress of ships herself, Bunny Girl Nix.
That was a hell of a transition, Nick.
Hello.
We're talking about AI likeness and whatnot. So, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right, so we got the headlines done, but before we go, we have some shilling to do. So, all right, so Lost Kingdom was pretty freaking awesome, and I am hard at work editing it. But right now we have the next book. Get hyped for next product. Oh God, I can't believe I did that. So if you have not signed up for Screecher number 3 of Talent Too Far, there is a link to do so. We have 12 wonderful people, and I just wanted to get this over with. I would not forgive myself. So, on to the main event, which, by the way, Nick, your timing was perfecto. Oh, today you're leaving right as we're...
See ya.
All right, so we're talking about lore, and I'm going to try very hard to have this stream not become let's complain about Star Wars for 2 hours. But we're, let's try... I'm going to try not to, but...
Nick, we're talking about respectful lore. Do you really think we're not going to talk about Disney Star Wars?
So apparently,
We're gonna have to.
Actually, I just realized something. So I'm wearing this special T-shirt.
Wait,
Oh.
Jared.
And it turns out, let me finish, that one of the tenets of the Ripperverse, it's in the front of all of their books, is that lore matters. They're not going to do BS reboots and all that stuff because, see, here's the thing. It's like, when it comes to like lore, that really aids in like, I get why I get the motivation behind like reboots and stuff, because it's essentially like, because someone finds it intimidating to like get into an IP and stuff. And Star Wars and Warhammer do kind of have that problem. But the other thing is, it's like that also is an advantage because you're really never running out of stuff to like to not have fun. And I just saw a BS tweet, and Nick, it's the one that you retweeted that I responded to as well.
Oh, you mean the one that I had ready to be pulled up?
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. This is the tweet. This is the tweet.
All right. Let me just kind of back up there. This is the whole reason we're doing this stream. Is this tweet? It pissed me off so much, and like I've had this problem with a lot of people, like this kind of similar attitude. I'm gonna read this off to you, okay? Lore is bad. Lore is the art killer. Lore is for the wiki. For the database narrative, lore strangles narrative. There is no good lore. Anything good attributed to the lore, it is storytelling breaching through its smog.
You notice how
Wow.
that person tries to sound more intelligent than she actually is. But so here's that's what I love about people on Twitter. They'll always faux intellectualism by using big words.
well, here's my thing. Like, as somebody that's worked in narrative development, I can tell you right now, like, lore is supplementary. It's not your core focus. And what I mean by that, what I mean by that is, I'm not defending what Lou's saying. Just got to preface that. But like,
yeah, I know.
What I'm saying is, like, I worked on lore. Like, I built wikis. I had to basically make sure a TV show and a video game had, continuity.
Mm-hmm.
But lore only exists to be in service to your story.
Mm-hmm.
It is supplementary. If you I created this huge alien world, Zach Thor, and it's got 1 million continents, and the people of this do this, and the colored eyes of these people do that, and the sacred gems of... Nobody gives a shit about that, okay? But if you have a story and one of your characters contracts a disease or wears a specific type of clothing or goes to or mentions a specific city and how to avoid it, a scum of den of villainy and all that shit, like, that is lore, and that should be cataloged, remembered, and documented for future users so that when city A is referenced in book 1, that same city is then referenced in like book 32 or whatever. It doesn't magically change, and they're like, kind of like what happened to the red shirt guy in Blizzard when he went to the BlizzCon, and he's like, how come Magni Bronzebeard is part of the Council of Hammers when he died on this page? And they're like, wait, what? That's what a lore person, that's their job.
And here's the thing, Chris.
I love how he actually came he actually reappeared for like 5 years afterwards, and that like and Jim just appearing on the mic. They're like, oh shit, all right, oh crap.
Well, not only that, and Chris, you can probably back me up on this. It's like even in one game, let's say take Warhammer Space Marine.
Oh boy, yeah.
Titus's arc throughout that entire game is lore to the game. It's what happens in the game. So really, when you say lore is anti-storytelling, that is a very oxymoronic statement.
Yeah,
I mean, being anti-lore is to be anti-storytelling because
it's anti-future. Here's
the problem: is lore is the backbone of storytelling. Okay,
yeah,
it is the web that ties everything together. Okay, you don't need to be like an uber nerd of the lore, but the lore needs to be there because it is the connective tissue for your universe. Like if you say, okay, this class of character, they can't shoot fireballs, and all of a sudden this class of characters start throwing fireballs.
Yep.
Even the casuals are going to be like, wait. You like we're changing the lore. We're retcon.
Well, not only that, like when I first started writing Athena, one of the things Nick told me is establish the rules of your universe first when you write the story. Establish how someone's powers were. I had to do that because one of my superheroes can control water. So I made it so she can only use her powers in like abundance of water. That's her lore.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. people don't give a crap about real world logic applying to a story. What they
Yeah,
care
just
about
internal
is the
consistency.
internal like it's like that one scene in Terminator 2 where it's like where John Connor's like, but this. He's like, the T-1000 cannot turn into explosives. Where basically it's basically just laying down the lore of the T-1000, and it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. It's stuff like that.
Well, it's again going back to lore should be 100% in service of the story.
Mhm.
If suddenly they were talking about the New York Rebellion that happened in the future war of Terminator, and it's like, what does that have to do with the T-1000? Was the manufacturer there? Like, no, that's just a war that happened there. That's part of the universe. That's the lore, and it's like, dude, that's bad. Like, nobody gives a shit about that. We're focusing on the story, and like how you were saying the backbone. I would argue that the story is the backbone, and that how you had mentioned the connective tissues. I 100% agree with that. Like, your backbone, your skeleton is your story, and then you're fleshing it out with your lore. You're putting that like,
and not only that,
and lore can be a great storytelling tool. Like let's say you're doing like a time travel story where you're hopping through history, and like you have this character where my parents were killed in the Boxer Rebellion, and then all of a sudden you end up in the Boxer Rebellion, and like, holy crap, this is where the parents killed. You can do an entire story about like, do you prevent the parents from killing him? It's like it creates it's that's why I call it a web. And this is my problem with a lot of these newer writers. Like the hostility to lore is an obstacle for them, is because these people are so used to unlimited resources, unlimited anything, they can't work within constraints.
Then you shouldn't be writing for companies that have.
Amen.
Here's my problem. A lot of these writers are like, I can't write this, are like complain about there being so much lore and so people caring about the lore, yet they want to go work for Star Wars, DC, Marvel, and I'm like, then don't work for those companies.
Well, here's another thing.
I remember something that Timothy Zahn said. He was talking to another Star Wars writer, and his advice was, find a period of the Star Wars universe that has not been touched by lore and have that be your playground. Because the Star Wars timeline goes back 30,000 years. There's way more than enough time.
Warhammer goes back a millennia.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could find some period in this that no one has touched.
Well, here's something else about lore that a lot of writers don't understand. Like, with lore, about 10% of your lore is actually reader facing. The other 90% is only internal notes for you and for the hardcore that want that source book or whatever afterwards. But the reason why you do that is because it's information overload. It's okay. Like, you just got arrested by the cops, and now you have to stick to the story. You give this lore book to your buddy, and he can corroborate the story that your alibi or whatever you just said. If you don't have that lore, suddenly shit gets inconsistent and you get arrested.
As the writer myself, I can confirm I have like copious notes on all this like stuff. So I'm about to drop something. I think I might have shared this a couple times. So you guys want lore? Here's some Screecher lore for you. Here's the Screecher
all the way
time.
from the beginning of all the way from from BC 1698.
Like, actually, my timeline goes back to 1968, but still. So, when I was creating Screecher, I had like the parents, and I knew that like I had all these people. I needed to have my date settled. I needed to have a document of like, okay, when were they bored? When did this happen? When did they go to college? Because, and if I ever get confused, I can solve this document. There's some spoilers here, but I don't care. But yeah, that is something like you're talking about, like material that is not like customer facing. That itself is not customer facing.
It's not only
that is a timeline that I made for my benefit, and then maybe future people.
Well, it's not only that. When you select an army in Warhammer to build, or even if just to build, the reason why you pick up the codices or the source books is because as you read through, they have examples of the armies that have already been made by Games Workshop, and then you can pick which one do I feel the most emotional connection? That's what lore actually does. If you make it in a way where it's not required for the current product, but is supplementary, it increases the consumer's emotional investment in the product, because otherwise it's play game, put away, I'll never touch it again.
And this is a problem with the anti-lore people, where if lore doesn't matter, then nothing matters. And why should I care about this? Like, let's say a writer writes an epic moment in the show. Why should I care about it if the lore does not support it? Like, oh, his backstory, his like for example, okay, perfect example, Princess Bride. All right, Inigo Montoya's backstory is the six-fingered man killed his father. You know, that's lore.
Prepared to die.
That is lore. You know what I'm saying? And without that lore, when he was Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. It means nothing. It means nothing without the lore to back it up.
Yeah, but I mean, one would also argue that all those references of lore are just elements of the story, whereas like established lore is something that's, or what I'm taking from that tweet is something where it's like a rubric or like a template or like a set of guidelines or rules that were already established for future products beyond. Like if they were to make a Princess Bride 2, heaven help me, they don't. But if they do, they have all of that, the rodents of unusual size, Prince Humperdinck, like that's all lore they can reference. But as far as the first movie goes, it doesn't reference anything outside of its initial story. We don't know anything outside of its other kingdoms. We don't know anything outside of like, all we know is Sicily exists in this world for some reason. But like,
and like the thing is, lore is the DNA of your world. Okay, like look at modern Star Wars. By the way, I just want to say I'm proud of everyone. It's taken us this long to get to Star Wars. Like look at modern Star Wars. All right,
Nick, there's one thing I gotta say to start this off. You know when I lost faith in Disney Star Wars lore? When the line was somehow Palpatine came back to life.
Oh God.
That's what, because then they're not even going to invent a lore reason for why Palpatine came back.
Okay. There's a whole rant about that, but I just want to get to my thing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, do you want to know what? Like, you ever like notice how Disney Star Wars doesn't feel like Star Wars? It feels
Not
like kind of a generic cyberpunk show, kind of.
Except for like the first couple of seasons of Mando, where it actually connected to the other movies,
and Rogue One,
and Rogue One.
Yeah, but like Star Wars is best when it's ripping off old Japanese writers. I mean, Mando was basically Lone Wolf and Cub. You know, the original Star Wars was Hidden Fortress. But like when they started veering off into their own, like they're like, great, we got your attention. Now we're gonna do our own shit. And it's like, your own shit is awful. You made Boba Fett. Like you got like feminism everywhere. It's disgusting.
Boba Fett. That's his new name.
Can I just say, I wish that I wish Boba Fett had not got his own TV show. Like keep his reappearance. Like okay, like his appearance in Mando.
Badass.
His appearance in Mando was great. Like, but just end it right there.
Or just give him a movie. You don't have to give him a show. But here's the other thing.
All right. I got to say this. I'm going to try spinning. That's a cool trick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but it's like
go, Moped Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
the 5 teenagers with attitude. So would that make Boba Fett Boba Zordon?
Bobadon.
Nice.
All right. But getting to what you said about Rise of Skywalker. That show is that trilogy. It's a perfect example of why lore matters. They made that so slapdash. Where the third movie is like an apology for the second movie, just because Ryan Johnson just broke all of JJ's toys and he had to glue them back together. But here's the thing. The Palpatine returns. Also, it's retconned that the Palpatine that died in Return of the Jedi was a clone, which basically makes the entire ending of the classic saga
worthless.
Like here's the thing: newer stuff shouldn't make old stuff worse.
Yeah,
okay?
you don't damage your brand that way.
Like, I've said this before. I think the problem with a lot of newer writers is they write for the moments. Like, I can just see Ryan like, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if, like, they handed the lightsaber to Luke and he just, like, tossed it? Wouldn't that be really cool?
That you know, it's funny. I think it was you, Chris, but I think someone said on the show, you know, what's the biggest red flag in a writer's meeting is when someone said, you know, it'd be cool.
Yeah,
that's the biggest red flag.
Nix, you're trying. What do you want to say?
Oh no, I just said, and it wasn't. It wasn't.
No.
It was stupid. It was pointless.
All right,
and it completely spits in the face of Luke's character.
There is one example.
Even Mark Hamill agreed.
Nick, there is one example. There's one person who lore arguably did not help it. It made it worse for this individual. And his name is Bruce Timm. Because he created the lore that Batman slept with Barbara, and he's never lived that down.
Oh, not only that, but he created a scenario where some random dude was shooting Bruce's sperm.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember the High Republic creative meeting where they had the whiteboard up and they were trying to build lore, and they're like, these are like the pillars of what's important for our
and character development was like near the bottom.
Yeah, they're like, no, they actually put no war in there, and like at the very top was like
in the name. What do you mean no war? It's in the freaking name. It's called Star Wars.
This is what happens when you let ideologues into a creative industry.
And remember, these are the people that were, speaking of lore, making fun of Star Wars theory for crying at Luke's epic return. What kind of a marketing strategy is it when you make fun of someone for having an emotional connection to the product you make?
Why isn't Star Wars theory
the High Republic gave us the greatest Star Wars character ever. A character who... Jared! I was leading up to something! Dear God, man!
Or how about the starship named Vessel?
All right. Because Jared likes to ruin my awesome bits. Geode.
But like seriously, like why? Like this shows you what happens when the mean girls take over like creative spaces and industries.
Let's just create like a rock. Let's have a rock be the navigator.
No. Like, do you remember why Star Wars theory is even on the blip? Like why is even a blip on the map?
Lore.
Because he cried at the end of season 2. Man.
He made a freaking video. You remember the one where the Darth Vader and the chain gun and all that? Like, this dude, it loves Star Wars. Why isn't he making movies?
He made an entire comic story and up the Star Wars comics. And I'm like, what? Yeah, to your point. What? Hey, here's the thing. So in the game, someone made a Space Marine fan film called The Starties. It exploded on YouTube, and Games Workshop hired the person.
Yep, that's what you
do. Hire the fans.
The one time when someone said hire this man, and the company actually listened.
Well, Nick, remember, how can I ever forget the fact that for the MCU's hiring manager, it's considered a red flag if you know Marvel lore to make Marvel movies.
Yeah,
that's not a great sign.
Well, it shows you that the sabotage is intentional.
Yeah, like for example, remember when Bo DeMeo was putting together his writer's room for X-Men, and he had a requirement that you had to be a X-Men fan?
You had to be a Star Wars fan to watch it.
Great. What like honestly, like I really enjoyed X-Men 97. I didn't think I would, but I really enjoyed it. I don't know the full story, but if they're gonna make a second season of this and whatever magic that was made in that first season is no longer there, I probably won't have any interest in it.
Yeah, my thing is, I already knew it was cooked when they announced they're going to use the Jared. What's the name?
The Frank Whiteley, Grant Morrison era X-Men suits.
Yeah,
the black leather they made fun of at the end of that show.
Yeah, that to me says that. Oh, you see all these iconic X-Men costumes? Oh no, don't worry about it. And it's the same. We're seeing the same thing happen with Game of Thrones. So season 1 of House of the Dragon was honestly pretty decent. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
season 2 went so far off the rails. You want to know how badly? George R. R. Martin literally posted a blog and blasted all the people. It went so bad that even the creator is like, "You guys are stupid."
Yeah.
Did you hear about that, Chris?
I heard something. I didn't look into it, but I watched. Like I was the dumbass that ordered Max so I could watch it because I want to support financially things I like, And even though you can the high season get it, yeah. But like, if I like something, I want it to succeed, so I give it my money. And I was so aggravated after season 2 ended. I was like, 90% of it was fillers. There were scenes in there that made no sense. This chick's talking about how she was basically wounded to the point where she can't reproduce anymore because of a certain SA. And like the natural response is to make out with a chick. What? Who wrote
it? Yeah. It's that's even like the worst part of it. Like they shoved Damon into Harrenhal and had him trip balls for like half the season.
Yep.
Well, like you could tell they had no idea what to do with him. And also like the fact that like Allison, like literally half an episode is, I'm gonna float in water. I want to go on a camping trip.
Hey, Nick. Remember when we talked? So when Nick and I watched Wheel of Time.
No,
it was the most hilarious thing in the world.
No.
The trauma.
Trauma response.
I asked Nick.
No.
Okay, another conversation. So I encounter this in the comic book world a lot. You know what the other problem with a lot of these writers is that, and this is a lot of fans as well, they treat their head canon as actual canon. And I'm like, no, I don't care what's in your head. I encounter this a lot when I dispute the fact that Wonder Woman's bi. She's not. But the fact that
you're gay. Bobby, you're gay.
Well, at least in that, it was on the page. So, see, here's the thing. Headcanon's fine if it's, like, very clearly not addressed, and maybe you want to, like, make it make sense. You can make, like, okay, I don't get how this makes sense, but here's how in the lore it could work. But too many people take their headcanon as the example to, like, bring up, and sorry, Nix, they're BS ships.
Yeah, like, that's what ruined season 2. Is because in Fire and Blood, Allison kind of drifts off into the background once the dance actually takes off. But they keep forcing her into it because they want to make the show about Rhaenyra and Allison when it's very clear it's not, and it's ruining the show. But so we're going to like briefly talk about like shipping ruining this stuff because that's a conversation for Monday on Comics Watch. But since I have the Misfits of Ships here, Nix, give a preview of what we'll be talking about on Monday.
Well, actually, first of all, I'd like to say that I find it funny that so many people are finding the first season of House of Dragon to be like decent, if not good. When my grandfather, who was a big fan of the original the original Game of Thrones show, did not like it and did not stick with it. Like, I think this is the first time I ever heard of my old man like giving up on a show. It was that bad.
I mean, it was kind of like here's how bad it is. Okay, so Damon has like a weirwood vision about the prince that was promised and like the Song of Ice and Fire, and then there's a shot Chris, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about.
Oh yeah.
It's a beach. You see a woman with like silver hair, and she has 3 dragons.
Oh,
They basically imply that Daenerys is the prince that was promised. The same woman who did not kill the Night King, that was Arya, who basically became a fantasy German painter, and who ultimately got stabbed by her boy toy.
her cousin, her nephew boy.
and then
Yeah.
later on, Aquaman emerged from the waves.
I mean, at this point, lore has been thrown so far out the window, I believe it.
Well, you mentioned headcanon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, canon is lore, and lore is canon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that again, it goes back to the rubric or the template that lore defines. And
Oh God,
why
we're not talking about Rings of Power. We're not.
No.
the reason why there's so much animosity.
I
by
forgot
writers,
season 2 started.
Yeah, I didn't forget, but I'm not going to watch it. But
I
anyway,
didn't forget. I love that.
no,
There
the
won't be a
reason
season
why
So
there's so much animosity towards lore for these modern writers is because lore represents restriction, and creative people work well under restrictions. In fact, I think that's a John Carmack quote or whatever when he's talking about technology.
Yeah.
If you can make a better product if you know the boundaries by which you're working within. But when you are uncreative,
like you, sorry, Chris, say your thing and then I'll do my thing.
okay, yeah, when you're uncreative, you're practically throwing whatever you can to see if it sticks at the wall. And when you have limitations, it makes that exploration more and more difficult. So these people get upset when they're forced within boundaries and they're like, lore is strangling and stupid. It's like, no, lore is basically the framework by which you are building your whatever, your house, your whatever. And that is why we're seeing such pushback now, is because we're looking at uncreative people who've never had any life experiences. They're not writing about life experiences. They're writing about other media they've already consumed.
I think Tevya actually has a good question here. And that ties in actually to a lot of things even beyond lore, is why don't these creators write their own stuff far away from IPs?
Nobody would buy it. Nobody would buy it.
Yeah, they've even said it. They've even like come out and said it. I've actually seen
Nick.
where they admit it. Yeah.
Well, look at my shit, dude. Nobody gives a shit. Like, I have a very
Nick,
small
I have a
market and I'm
story to
screaming in
tell
a
you.
well. I'm
story.
screaming in the darkness, waiting to hear echoes coming back. And I can tell you right now.
We got you, Chris.
Have you tried screeching into the darkness?
Well, dude, it is so hard to even get people to give a shit about your product in today's oversaturated entertainment media markets. That is why they hijack existing IPs, because they're standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm in the crowd and my hand is getting like, it's like the Battle of the Bastards. I'm slowly sinking under, just trying, hoping, like, this is why I'm super grateful to anybody that even backs my book or shares whatever, because I don't think they understand how freaking amazing that is and how helpful that is to somebody who is basically one teardrop, in an ocean. Nobody cares.
Speaking of which, sign up for Chris's book.
Hell yeah. But by the way, so I have a story to tell you guys.
No.
A lore, if you will. So 10 years ago, they announced the Halo TV show.
Oh, God.
It was going to be with Steven Spielberg, because he's a big Halo fan, everything like that. Then they announced it's going to take place in an alternate timeline. This is their reasoning. And Chris, you will love this. They said because the existing lore would interfere with the story we wanted to tell.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, and you wonder why. And apparently it was just a generic sci-fi show that wasn't being picked up. So they figured, let's slap Halo in it.
Yep. Oh, you want to talk about lore violations?
Wheel of Time.
Now, Jared, do you want to tell the biggest sin of Halo in terms of lore violations?
The helmet.
He takes his helmet off.
Yeah.
And it gets even more like malicious. There's an episode where he gets in a vehicle, he takes off his helmet, he gets back in the vehicle, he puts his helmet. So he's literally like at the circus act going dun 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 dun. And I'm like, make up your freaking mind. And then he has sex with a coveted spy.
That's
while
very cheeky.
Cortana watches. And she's connected to his brain, so she could probably feel what he's feeling. So that makes it even more icky.
You know, if I was like very malicious, you know what I would have done is I would have had Chief be fully naked except for the helmet, and then pipe down the Covenant spy. Sorry, babe. Helmet stays on during sex.
Like it's gyrating to the beat.
Yeah.
No, what he does is that she's lying on the bed and he goes, "Excuse me, baby, I need some mood music." Dun, 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 dun.
All right,
Oh.
Nick, please say something.
That's his own face.
No, Jared, no.
Yes. See, Tammy's
No,
got my back.
I think he's cooking.
Yeah, thank you.
No. When he climaxes, he just leans back and goes, "Oh,
Oh God! Everyone, shut the.
I'm about to light the sacred rings.
I will.
No integrity.
Jared, never forget.
Hi, everybody. This is Zack Snyder. I'd like you all to check out this amazing comic called Screecher, made by the Every So Cool Phoenix Press. It's currently on Kickstarter, so give it a look if you want something to fill that void.
Or that's in the lore of fraudulent AI statements.
Yeah, okay. For full disclosure, that's AI. Screecher is not endorsed by Zack
Actually,
Snyder,
Nick, we have our own lore.
Oh,
So
God.
for those that don't know, so I did an episode years ago about our favorite indie comic books. Nick knows what I'm referencing. And we were supposed to give a list of our 5 favorite indie books. And by indie, I mean anything not Marvel and DC. Now, here's the thing. We didn't coordinate this.
I'm seeing if I have it. Like, oh yes, I do.
We both had Power Ranger Soul of the Dragon. And as I hold it up, he goes, "You mother effer!" No, but that's the thing. That's what lore also does for people that are. See, here's the thing about lore. It requires a very, very, very important quality in a person. You have to be creative. That's kind of the way it works.
So you're saying that just like Rick and Morty, lore requires a high IQ to understand.
Well, here's the thing. Do you know why Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run is so beloved? And here's what Jeff did. So Hal Jordan...
Is it because Ethan Van Sciver did the art?
No, he did the art for like the first couple of lines. But my point is, let me finish. So for those that don't know, up until that point, Hal Jordan was dead. It was Kyle Rayner's the only Green Lantern. But Jeff, being Jeff, wanted to bring back some Silver Age characters. But instead of, as DC is prone to do, just wave his hand and say he came back. No, that he actually had a lore reason, because at the time Hal was the Spectre. It's a long story. He even used the lore to retcon out Hal being a bad guy, saying, "Oh, he was just under the influence of a fear entity. He wasn't actually bad." And because that's what good writers can do, like Jeff Johns. You take pre-existing lore and you can make lore work for you and for your story. You just have to put the effort into it. And honestly, the moment I was determined, I can vividly picture it. The moment I determined that I was going to give X-Men 97 the shot that I knew it was going to be good, when Bo DeMeo on a podcast, like an interview, said, "We're not the owners of these characters. We are the stewards of someone else's work."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'll give your stuff. I will 110%. I trust this guy because he gets it. He understands that at that point. That's your role. Too many of these writers take it like, oh, I get to make my own version of these characters. No. When you write Wonder Woman, Tom King, first off, Tom King, stop trying to be Alan Moore. You're never going to be Alan Moore because Alan Moore is talented. Second off, when you're writing Wonder Woman, you actually have to write Wonder Woman the way she is. That's it. And to Terry, a good point.
Wait, so you're saying that Wonder Woman doesn't eat rats?
Yeah. But I love the people trying to. I love the
Nick,
people.
you need a bucket.
I love the people trying to explain that. Well, that could be she's under the lasso of lies, and I'm like, I don't care. That should never have been in the book to begin with. But that's the thing. But my point is, when you write Batman, when you write Superman, Bendis, you're right. You're not writing Bendis as Superman. You're writing Superman.
Yeah.
See, that's almost like writing a Batman cartoon or like a movie with Batman, like an animated Batman movie, and having him sleep with one of his proteges,
or having one of his proteges sleep with Harley Quinn, or and here's the thing. Did you guys see this may be random, but screw it. Jenna Ortega basically said, stop gender bending characters. Women need their
that
own.
Woman is base as hell.
And when I saw that,
base as hell.
A YouTuber took her and put her on top of the Penguin from Cape Crusader.
No, like Jenna Ortega. Like, did you hear the stories about like how much of a shit show Wednesday could have been?
Yeah. Dude, her quote is amazing. She's like, I don't want to see a Jamie Bond.
Like, it's like Gal Gadot. Even Gal Gadot, she was asked if she would ever play like a female James Bond. She goes, no, because guess what? Women should have their own IPs.
That
so the
woman
whole
has
idea,
a heart of stone.
Yes, exactly. I don't get why we accept. I don't get why the communities that that these companies try and pander to seem to accept these gender, race, sexually bent characters, because they're getting the sloppy seconds.
Yep.
I mean, the pattern is so fucking played out by now. Like, oh, established IP with a male lead. Oh, we're doing a new movie. Oh, we're gonna have this like female psychic. Oh, she doesn't really matter.
We're gonna bust ghosts.
In
2016. I had to.
Afterlife was so good. Oh, Jared Prime has spoken.
Because that's true. Thank you. That's other Jared. How you doing,
yeah.
By the way, for us,
I was wondering why it felt
we have to hang out again.
Here.
Yeah, we have to hang out again, brother.
Yeah, but like getting back to the Wednesday stuff, during season 1, they were wanting to like ship her with all these different things. There was a version of that where her and Enid got together.
By the way, here's a story. Do you know why in Ruby, Yang and Blake got together? It was fan shipping and Rooster Teeth bent the knee.
Yeah,
man.
I'm starting to see one of the many reasons why that company collapsed.
It's almost like when you bend to the will of your fans and make a ship canon, it can really bring down the quality of your show.
You may be wondering.
Felicity!
Yes.
Sorry.
Or invent an OC Black Canary.
In this house, we sink ships. Oh my god! I love it.
Now here's the thing. You may ask, Jared, you host a show about shipping Superman with Wonder Woman. Yeah, but I use established lore to make that argument. There's a reason why our episodes are 3 hours long.
So I don't want to go too far into the shipping argument because, like, I don't want to steal from. So Comics Watch Monday at 5 p.m. Me, Jared, and Nix. I'm also shilling, but I'm also trying to like. All right,
it's your show.
Throw up hype.
Yeah. Let's get that hype going. But yeah. But getting back to like the Star Wars stuff. I think the Acolyte is a perfect example of this. Like they were so dedicated, like they were so like they wanted so hard. They broke Star Wars into 50 million different pieces, and no one cared.
I love the people. Remember where there was like that. So apparently that cringe video a bunch of shill YouTubers put together saying, be positive on the internet. That didn't help. But by the way, so here's the funny thing about that show. You know the end where they basically show Darth Plagueis? since they never named him Darth Plagueis, you know what someone tweeted? Since he's not named Darth Plagueis, they didn't ruin Darth Plagueis because we could just say that's not Plagueis.
I mean, that in of itself is a canon violation because, did you know that Plagueis is alive for the events of episode 1?
Yes, and Nick, when I learned that, it blew. I'm like, oh my gosh, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
So, in the final scene when Palpatine steps off the ship onto Naboo, that's right after he killed Darth Plagueis.
Oh, that's really cool. Darth Plagueis, nice, Jared. But yeah, and that's the thing, because here's the thing. That show had a lot of potential because, Chris, to your point, they took an area of Star Wars that was relatively untouched and set their show there. That's fine. You did the first part. The problem is, or like, here's a better example. Let's use a positive example. Knights of the Old Republic. They took a period that no one had touched at that point. It was like, look, because yes, there are some rules like Jedi aren't like gods, but for the most part, that's where you get the most creative freedom.
I will say, well, actually, they didn't really like that part had been touched. Like stuff like the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War actually had been fleshed out by a lot of the Star Wars comics,
but not the post Mandalorian Wars. Because remember that's the game is taking place after Mando Wars.
So I know, like, the Mandalorian Wars were definitely part of lore. The Jedi Civil War, I'm not sure if that was the post Mandalorian War or I'm thinking of something entirely different. So anyone feel free, but yes. Yes. I love how we say KOTOR and like 3 people are like,
well, it's the most perfect Star Wars game of all time, short of Republic Commando. But even Republic Commando, they took a time period that has been explored, but took it from a new perspective. That's another way you could, or like Battlefront 2, the campaign, the OG Battlefront 2. You could still go into like areas that have been explored, but approach it from a different perspective. Like there was a great Batman comic that I read recently.
No, Jared, you're missing the line here. Approach it from a certain point of view.
Yeah, so there was a certain Batman comic that I recently read that was on my pull list, and they actually did something pretty cool. Yes, it was after Mandalorian Wars. But what they did was they told like a Batman story from the perspective of an everyday criminal, not from the Joker, not from the Riddler, from one of their henchmen. And you see how terrifying Batman is. Or the one good part of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is when you're in the Batman museum and he is hunting you.
Jared, okay, let's properly understand how goated that sequence is. Jared, would you say I was probably the one banging the drum about how badly that game sucks?
Yeah.
Do you remember when you showed me that sequence? Even I thought it was actually kind of cool.
Yeah. And you know what's kind of funny? I knew that scene was kind of happening because some of the opening cutscene was played at the demo where they revealed that Conroy was voicing Batman, and it's in my first stream on the game. As soon as that cutscene starts, I'm like, oh no! And see, that's the thing. That's when you take because Lord knows DC has had games up the yin yang. Mm-hmm. But if you have Batman hunt you, I still think that a sequence should have been longer. But still, the point is, you took something that's been explored, but you approach it from the other perspective. That's where you get new stuff in a world filled with lore.
That's where lore actually helps. Which is kind of funny because that game on a whole rejects lore pretty hard. With like the Harley Quinn seeing her old costume, be like, I'm sorry, Harley Quinn wouldn't do that, especially that version.
Yeah, that was awful.
But like because of lore, because you had built up the Predator sequences, like you've done so many of those Predator sequences where you're the hunter, and now you're the hunted. It actually adds another level of fear because you know what's going on. You know the inevitability of it.
And the fun part, Nick, they actually play sounds from like he's planting explosive gel. He even uses his disruptor, so you can't use your jetpack or any of your special moves because he has disrupted it. And I'm like, oh, and it's dark. He like jumps down and grabs you and like knocks you out. And I'm like, oh no.
Since we're talking about like Predator sequences, I'm just gonna say, when you read issue 4 of Screecher, I think you guys are gonna be very pleased with a certain sequence that I have planned.
Does Screecher cover herself in mud and say, come and get me, I'm right here?
No.
How can I not, Nick? How can I not, Nick? I recently watched Predator. That's what made me think of that.
I see that movie is so manly that every time somebody watches it, a woman gets pregnant.
Well, here's the other thing. I'm going to talk about Alien Romulus for a second.
Oh God, here we go.
No, that movie took established lore and sort of like it played with it because it references all of the other all the other films, including Prometheus and Alien Covenant, but it's in such a way, it's from a different perspective. So you don't, it's from but here's another way to handle lore. Tell it from a perspective of a character that doesn't know what's going on, because then as they learn about the world, you are learning about the world. That's why Peter Parker, or when she first showed up, Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel was so
Audience
big.
eyes. Audience eyes.
Yeah, it's the audience eyes. Because then it's less daunting if you like want to learn about it, because you're learning about it through a character that is learning about this world. It's really simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather learn through the experience through the eyes of the protagonist or whatever than have exposition dumps.
Yeah, because it's more immersive if you're learning it with the character.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why so many stories have audience eyes characters, because it's a lot. It's a lot more entertaining to have a character slowly drip feed and explain everything to a character than just have like one long text crawl, or have a beautiful woman sit in front of the camera and explain the lore for you for 5 minutes. Thank you, David
Yeah.
Lynch.
Or it's like a character go, I bet you're wondering why I got here.
Wow, teenage wasteland. No.
In media res has to be like the most overused story technique in modern writing.
Yeah, or it's like even in Aliens, the sequel to Alien, the reason why that also works is because guess who your audience characters are? The Marines, because they're going in and they're getting wiped out by like aliens, and they're relearning everything about the aliens.
Yeah,
hey,
not
Jared.
keeping score. The teachers kicked our ass.
Hey Jared, have you ever been confused for a girl?
No, have you? No. There you go. You got it. Alien Isolation is freaking awesome. Yeah, Alien Isolation is fun. Even in that, they took a period that was not touched in the games or comics and made an entire game about it.
Yeah, it was a very obscure reference to Ripley's daughter.
It was a deleted scene in Aliens, and they're like, let's just make a game about that.
Yeah, and
all right, I have to say this. Game over, man! Game over! What do we do?
Absolutely badasses. Let's bring
5 by 5 in the pipe.
Don't worry, Nix. Me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you. That movie so much.
Yes,
as
every one of them was a banger.
As a little bit of a side, it's really pissing me off how James Cameron is killing his movies with like the shitty 4K transfers, and when he gets a pushback, he just basically uses the nerds.
No, you know what he is? He's trying to be a George Lucas, but even the fans don't like it when George Lucas constantly releases the updated version of the movie.
Yeah.
Remember the McClunky?
Yeah, somebody actually, I wish I could get my hands on. I heard Topher Grace, the actor, cut together some demakes that were like HD demakes of the original Star Wars.
Oh, actually, you know what you need to do? You need to look at Harmy's Despecialized Edition.
Yeah, that's the one, man. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, those are actually like not too hard to find. Just got
it. That's awesome.
I've watched them. They're actually really good. Which that reminds me, I need because he's got like 1080p versions. He's even got 4K versions.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
And there's YouTube videos that talk about like how much work he had to put in. Like he's had to like go in and be like, okay, I'm gonna like this frame, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's got my respect. Like,
oh, Predator Concrete Jungle, another good example of like using lore.
Yeah.
Like there's an entire sequence where you're running away from xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Or like
I
also-
got one.
what?
Predator versus Wolverine. So this movie literally makes it so in all of Wolverine's life, he's being hunted by a singular predator in all of these significant parts of his life. And Chris, remember that helmet Wolverine has in the Weapon X program? What if I told you that was actually a re-engineered Predator helmet?
Oh, damn.
That's what I'm not sure if Predator Wolverine is canon, but my point is you took a concept, Predator fighting Wolverine, instead of doing it like a superficial fight, which they could have, they literally said, no, let's actually play with Wolverine lore and make it so he's always fought this one Predator.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Speaking of Predator and lore, another really good example is at the end of Predator 2.
Yes.
Jared knows exactly where I'm going with this. For a trophy, he gets tossed a gun, and it's like so-and-so's name, 15, whatever. And it's just, we don't have any, like, it's just like, okay, what is this? It is the comics told a story, but then came a movie called Prey.
Yeah, we see the flintlock.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's not what I thought you were going to reference. I thought you were going to reference the giant alien skull on the Predator ship.
Or the ET skull.
The ET skull. Oh, this is even better. In Predator versus Wolverine, there's a Rancor skull.
Oh, damn.
So apparently Star Wars is canon to Marvel. But anyway, and that's the thing, because actually Aliens versus Predator, the comic came out before Predator 2, so it's not like they took their cue from the comics. But even with that, they made the lore that to become a full-fledged Predator, you have to kill a xenomorph.
Also, can I just say, I'm actually really surprised Marvel has not done a Star Wars versus the Marvel Universe. Like, a wormhole opens up, and, like, the Empire, like, basically
Patton Oswalt's filibuster.
Like just imagine, like, Darth Vader on Earth, and, like...
You know what they're doing now?
What?
Which is freaking fantastic. Aliens versus Avengers.
Ooh.
So what happens in this one, and it's superb.
It's
obviously an Elseworlds.
Are they going to make everyone quarantine for 2 weeks to stop the spread?
Something like that. So what happens
Sorry, it was there.
So the aliens, the Shi'ar, were experimenting with the xenomorphs. That always works out. But it turns out they had sent out pods throughout all these different planets that contained hosts and a xenomorph queen egg. One of those got on Earth, and there's a sequence and like a couple of pages with narration that describes in detail, in like a matter of months, Earth is taken over by xenomorphs. And then it's literally a post-apocalyptic xenomorphs have taken over the world. And what's kind of cool, there's a sequence where, so a facehugger gets on Miles. However, it doesn't implant on him because Miles has the Venom symbiote, and the Venom symbiote takes over the facehugger.
Oh, God.
And then it's really cool. But the point is, they're doing that. So it's inevitable before we get like because I'm sure if they got a pitch, a good enough Star Wars pitch, I'm sure they would do it.
Like,
well, do you remember Parks and Recreation, or that scene where Patton Oswalt had like the epic filibuster where he was describing this whole story, and it was like basically Marvel versus Star Wars versus like it was like, and Doctor Who was in there somewhere.
Well, actually,
that's the real multiverse of madness right there.
There's actually a really good fan film out there. I showed it to Jared, where they combine Mass Effect, Halo, and Star Wars together, and it's like a really good. It's like a 12-minute fan film. Star Wars, Star Trek, Halo, and Mass Effect. If you ever wanted to see Master Chief on the Millennium Falcon, that's how you do it. It's actually really good. Oh my god, can you imagine Deadpool? Can you imagine Deadpool? Deadpool in My Hero Academia. Dang it. The current crossover I want to see is Doctor Who lecturing Frank Castle about pointing guns at people.
And then Frank Castle points a gun at Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Okay.
Regenerate this.
Okay, there's one crossover that I really want to see. It is Doctor Who and Back to the Future. Basically, the DeLorean.
Flash. You screw up
Sure.
the time stream 3 ways.
Oh god. But like, I'm sorry. Why they haven't made a Doctor Who Back to the Future crossover comic, I have no idea. That is money on the table. Oh, Jared, did you know there's a Star Trek versus X-Men crossover?
There's a Star Trek Green Lantern crossover, bro.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That takes place. They make it. This is so good. This is in a world where Blackest Night happened and the heroes lost, and all the lanterns were sent to the Star Trek universe.
Oh.
It's actually really dope. When I read it, I was like, okay, this actually works. Yes, exactly. And then Booster Gold shows up. Or I have an idea of crossover Halo with with a showrunner that actually cares about the lore. Oh wait, that was season 2.
Oh god! All right, Nix. What are some crazy? Like, let's just do this. What are some?
I got it.
Crazy...
One more. Lois Lane and a wood chipper. I had to.
Yeah. So Nix, what are some crazy crossovers that you would like to see?
I don't know. I mean, all of the ones I've wanted to see were probably already done. It's like Batman meets the Ninja Turtles, done. Superman
awesome.
meets Spider-Man, done.
I got it.
Batman versus the alien, done.
I technically did this crossover as a fan edit, but The Boys versus the Snyderverse.
Okay. There's been a couple of YouTube videos, but I desperately, like, if they ever do another X-Men, like another Marvel versus DC crossover, please, for the love of God, somebody get the Hulk a Red Lantern ring.
Yeah, that's like a comic explain did a video. What if Hulk got a Red Lantern ring?
I think that's the video I watched.
And what if Wolverine got a Red Lantern ring? There's so many great. There's also one. What if Galactus got an orange ring? That's the one of avarice and greed.
Also, the other one for me is I think Vulcans would make the perfect Jedi.
Yes, they would. They would. Snyder Superman. yeah, exactly. You know, it's kind of funny, Frost. But when I'm in a group where I posted the thumbnail of the video saying, here's something I'm working on. It's like the boy, it's Homelander, and then behind him is Zack Snyder's Justice League. And then everyone's like, oh, Homelander's about to be bodied really hard.
Oh,
and that's what I did.
So this is a crossover between the Snyderverse, Batman, and Arrow. Bruce just walks up to Ollie saying, quit stealing my villains.
and stop trying to impersonate me.
I will say, if they actually made like Stephen Amell's Arrow as part of the Snyderverse, it actually could work. I think he would fit.
Oh yeah, his Arrow and then the Titans show would have worked. Although and it would have gotten rid of arguably the worst casting for Bruce Wayne I've ever seen.
Oh, how crazy would it have been is if it were revealed it was actually part of the Snyderverse. Like Ben Affleck actually shows up
and Henry Cavill show the Bruce Wayne they actually casted. They casted for Titans was actually Hush the entire time.
He's Thomas Elliott. Oh god.
There you go. See, I used lore to fix a BS story. And Nick, we have an entire Gal Gadot lore on all the movies she showed up.
Oh god. Okay. Chris, I don't know if I told you this, but me and Jared have created a Gal Gadot cinematic universe made up of all of her main movies, and it surprisingly fits together pretty well.
So the way it works is that obviously it starts off with Wonder Woman 1 because that's the earliest taking place movie. Then at some point she joins Dominic Toretto's crew. By the way, we skipped 1984 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then you remember how she suspiciously dies at the end of like one of the Fast and the Furious movies? Well, it actually happens because she got word that actually, here's the thing. The scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League when she looks behind her and sees the flames signaling that Steppenwolf's invading, that's taking place during Fast and the Furious. She sees that and goes, okay, I have to fake my own death. So she fakes her own death and then joins the Justice League.
No, you're getting it wrong, sir. So Gal Gadot did a movie called Heart of Stone. It's basically her James Bond.
I'm getting to there, but okay.
No. You're getting so basically she infiltrated Dom's crew as an assignment.
As Giselle.
As Giselle. So her assignment was up, and so she rejoined Dom's crew. So she died, and Zack Snyder's Justice League happened. She goes back into hiding. The events of Heart of Stone happen, and then after that, he comes back for Fast X. It kind of works.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, what's your reaction?
Well, pardon my ignorance, but I've never seen a single Fast and the Furious movie.
Wait, what?
Literally.
I thought everyone had seen that. Is Laura really?
I'm not Chinese.
The Gal Gadot verse. Oh my god!
Restore the Gal Gadot verse, and the James Gunn verse is just made of cringe humor.
No, the Gunn verse is literally James Gunn doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Into his own feet because he can't even do that right. Or here's the thing. Do you know we have a perfect example of when ignoring the Lord didn't work out? You ready? It's when Taika Waititi says, "I've never read a Thor comic. I thought he was kind of stupid."
Oh.
The one time that kind of excuse actually worked is like when Tim Burton says, "I've never read a Batman comic."
I mean, it's one thing when you're doing like a full-on reboot. I can understand, but the thing is, the thing that a lot of these creators don't get is it's like if you want to do a reboot and like throw out the book, fine. But you still need to understand the spirit of the character, like the feel of the character. Otherwise, you're just making you might as well just make a whole different movie.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go too far into the spirit because then you're just copying what came before.
And if you go too far into the spirit, you make a really crappy movie.
Or you're making what's probably going to be a really crappy movie called James Gunn's Superman. I had to. I'm feeling very petty today. Bad editors. Yeah, that's also a part of it because you also have story people. Because you used to have editors like Jim Shooter, who, or Dan DiDio, who could tell. And this is one of the things that I've been saying on my show before Nick even showed up on it. It's the idea that to fix these companies, you have to have editors that will tell their creatives no matter their name. There should be no such thing as you can't edit Grant Morrison because they're Grant Morrison. You can't edit Tom King because he thinks he's Alan Moore. No, if you're working for DC, you have to write these characters as they are supposed to be.
Well, don't you know? When you grow like a really massive beard and it has like edges of gray on it, that's your badge of I can do whatever the heck I want.
So Tom King can't because he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That actually works. Thank you.
I'm working on mine. So.
And I like to keep mine short. That's I'm just gonna say that.
You well-groomed mother effer.
Yeah, but the point is you have editors who will either not edit or too hard edit to push their own idea. Like this way. Nick Spencer was going to retcon away One More Day, but the editorial team, Nick Lowe, told him no. And it's kind of funny. Nick Lowe actually argued what the fans, they were calling for that. And Nick Lowe, this is how much of an a-hole this individual is. You know what he was fine with the fans? How do you know you speak for all the fans?
The heck?
And I'm like, this is the one issue that has united all of Spider-Man fandom since One More Day came out, is to eliminate One More Day. This is the one issue you do not want to say that.
And the ultimate FU is they did Ultimate Spider-Man, where they gave him like, okay, not only is he gonna be married to MJ, he's gonna have kids, and it sells out like what, 5 printings.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like giving the fans what they want, or the Snyder Cut, giving the fans what they want. Actually, Nick, isn't this kind of weird? When you own a business, giving people what they desire, giving them the product that they want, actually leads to more sales. Isn't that a really weird concept?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a business major, but for some reason, it's kind of funny. Catering to your customers leads to profit. Chris, this is a novel. No one's ever thought of this before.
I know, they'd make so much money. I mean, this is like a novel idea.
It's like, you think Nick and I know this, at least as YouTubers. There's plenty of content that I would love to make for my channel, but I necessarily can't because it wouldn't work with my audience. So I am catering what I create to my audience. That's how I got to 1K.
You know, Jared, all these YouTubers that complain about stuff, there needs to be like one YouTuber who creates his own kind of comic book universe. You could say he'd really rip him a new one.
And actually, you know what? Allow me. I'm going to read you something. This is in the beginning of every book in the Ripper book.
Jared, I want you to read this comment.
That's open. I own a sandwich shop, and whenever someone asks for a turkey club, I spit in their face and give them the tuna sandwich and call them racist if they complain. Yeah, exactly. So, in the beginning of every book in the Ripperverse, he includes a statement of the Ripperverse ethic. And so respect for the customer, of course, but allow me to read to you briefly the second point: canon and continuity. Our aspirations extend far beyond having a couple of characters or series. It's a vast universe that is ever expanding in what we hope to accomplish. There is something that has been intriguing about modern American comic books, but it has become a lost art. The Ripperverse will fill this void. This means that every single comic book you buy will always matter. If retcons are to exist, they will only be used in the classic sense of introducing new information. We want every book you buy to always matter. These stories happen. There is no lazy time travel or to change history or events. There is no cheap multiverses that have altered versions of the same character. If you own a book, you own a part of the universe's history, and it's our mission to keep it that way. The concept will remain true regardless of the medium. Should the character appear in officialized animation or live action, the depictions need to be as accurate to the characters as realistically possible. Your favorite characters will always be recognizable. Or it's like when I talked to Sam Liu about like adaptations, and I said, Sam, he and I agreed on this. We understand there are some times where, like, when you're adapting comics to live action, you can't adapt 100% of the things. Mm-hmm. The idea is to get close enough that when you adapt like All-Star Superman or Kingdom Come, you get the basic feeling of the book. You get the basic plot of it. So you're like, okay, they changed some things, but for the most part, that's Kingdom Come. It's like, that's why X-Men 97, that is the 90s X-Men to a T.
Yeah, and then you have the other adaptations where are basically a name only. Like, take, for example, Civil War. It's a great movie, but it's not Civil War. It has nothing to do with the original story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Still a good movie, but yeah, to the point where when I read the comic after watching the... Actually, you know what? I saw the movie after playing... Actually, Nick, they did adapt Civil War accurately. It's literally the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 game. It is Civil War.
I just want them to introduce Miles and then do Civil War 2.
Ooh.
No, you don't want that.
Imagine
You don't want that. You don't want that.
Actually, I do, because Captain Marvel is the villain in that one.
Oh
I
yes,
wanna-
actually, you know what? Do it. So
She
so
almost
Brie-
murders Miles
for
in
it.
that one.
Oh, and she punches Tony Stark into a coma, much like Superboy Prime punched Red Hood back to life, but in reverse. Does that make sense?
All right, Nick, what were you gonna say?
No, I'm just saying it should be done, and have Captain Marvel be called out for the villainous bitch she is.
Okay.
That's the unlikable,
Wow.
insufferable.
Wow, was that absolutely horrible of her?
I have to do this.
Uh,
So Carol
yeah.
Carol wasn't always a bad character.
Once she had a good
No.
costume.
The Brian Reed Ms. Marvel series, where she actually had a character arc, because so this take place after House of M. In House of M, she was like the main superhero of the world. She was the biggest celebrity. And here she's just a generic superhero. So she resolves, I am going to grow as a character and be a better superhero. So you see her struggle. This is how you make a good female character, Hollywood. You have a character that struggles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No woman, and this is for all the Hollywood writers out there, no woman can relate to being perfect and never wrong and yada yada yada, no matter how much they may want to claim.
Exactly.
What we relate to, like any other person in the world, is the struggles. You want to be relatable to women and gay people? Show them struggling, show them overcoming, and not like, oh, I'm so oppressed, boo-hoo, this
And
person
don't
was
make them
mildly rude to me.
And don't make these characters stereotypical, because every time they do a gay character, he becomes the most flamboyant character ever.
Okay, here's some writing advice from a person who actually has released stuff. Chris can also jump in because he's also released stuff, so Chris also has the authority. But when I create a character, I don't focus on race, I don't focus on gender, I don't focus on any of that bullcrap. That's window dressing. I make characters first. Like, okay, this character, what's their backstory, what's their motivation, what's their point in the story, and then I do like, okay, are they man, woman, are they black, white, gay, whatever, because all that stuff is window dressing. People don't care. Oh, it's this gay character. Oh no, this person is a survivor of child abuse, and that's why they have these blinders on for these certain issues because of this or that. That's actually interesting. Like Harley Quinn did not become the darling of so many women because she's bi. And Nick, feel free to call me out if I get this wrong.
She became that because of that Suicide Squad movie.
It's because of the domestic violence angle, that she's a survivor of an abusive boyfriend and she's growing past it. Because I've talked to a lot of women, and that's what they cite as why they like Harley Quinn. Nix, how wrong am I?
For a lot of women, yeah. For me, it was just that she was a fun character. She was cute. Yeah. She was bubbly, but she was also intelligent. No matter how much people want to say, "Oh no, she just faked her degree because she slept with the professor." In the series itself, she's shown how manipulative she could be, and how at times she could be, better than the Joker. She didn't need him. She went back to him because she liked him, because he had in some ways gotten in her head. But that doesn't diminish her being a good character. Intelligent.
Yeah. So Jared.
Yes.
I guess you have to go, so you know what I have to do, right?
First, can I say a piece of my lore?
Fine.
Lois Lane sucks!
All right, so Jared, take care.
You are still dangerous. You can be my wingman anytime. Bullshit. You can be mine.
Wheel of Time!
Bye.
He had to. He just had to. Oh God. All right. So now that peace can be regained, at least somebody's having fun with this stuff. Oh God. But Chris, what are some crazy crossovers that you think would be interesting?
A crazy crossover that I think would be interesting.
Yeah. Oh God! Now he's coming for seconds. Oh God! I need to remove his wrench. He's refusing his power. No, it's good. Chris, what do you got for us?
I'm trying to think of ones that haven't already happened. Kind of like what Nick was saying.
Like even just Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles did that in like the 90s. It wasn't very good, but they did it.
Yeah.
The worst version of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't know. Like a lot of crossovers to me often feel very bad and cheesy. There's very few of them where I'm like, wow, that actually enriched both universes.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a segregationist when it comes to properties. Like it's nice as like a one-off, like a non-canonical, like here's a joke, like whatever. Like I love those in comics, like Deadpool kills Marvel. Like that stuff's awesome. But like as far as like a crossover series or something, I don't know. I kind of prefer to keep them separated.
I mean, like the crossover miniseries, I think it's kind of an art. Like, you know, Power Rangers versus Godzilla. Like that's like, oh, that's like an interesting premise. But let's go beyond like comic books. Just go into like movies or like video games even. Like for example, an obvious one. I'd love to see Nathan Drake meet Lara Croft.
Yeah, considering they're pretty much the same character.
Yeah, and then Indiana Jones makes an appearance.
Oh, dude, how about Ghostbusters versus A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Oh, that reminds me, in the Casper movie, who are you gonna call? Someone else. That was so cool. That was so cool to see them. That was a really cool moment.
I think if you have them fighting Freddy Krueger, it should be the real Ghostbusters, specifically their version.
Yeah, well, do you remember they kind of did it with the Sandman?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think they should be the ones.
Yeah.
Live action Ghostbusters haven't faced anything like that as far as we know.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh God, yeah.
Or Ghostbusters goes to hell. That was the original kind of concept for Ghostbusters 3.
Ghostbusters Hellbent, yeah.
Yeah, go fight Pinhead.
I'm actually very upset with what they did to the real Ghostbusters, getting rid of Lorenzo music.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one for you.
What they did to Janine is just unforgivable.
Yeah, it was not even remotely similar.
No. Here's what happens. It's a Ghostbusters movie set in the Conjuring universe.
There you go with the Warrens. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, like that that actually sounds cool. Like that's or imagine like a Paranormal Activity, Ghostbusters found footage kind of film.
Yeah, Ghostbusters versus the Blair Witch.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted Godzilla and Pacific Rim crossover. That's what I wanted. Like,
oh hell yeah!
Oh, like I was hoping that like the MonsterVerse would cross over with Pacific Rim, but it just didn't happen. Like I thought, like how cool would it be if this Mechagodzilla was made out of Jaeger tech?
Yeah, although the Jaeger tech did bring with it some weirdness, like where like you couldn't have a single pilot in a Jaeger because it would like overload their brain or something.
I thought that was cool. Like it made for interesting storytelling. It actually put restrictions on the storytelling that I think actually made
It made them Zords. Like it made the Jaegers like I at that point. Why not just have Power Rangers versus Pacific Rim? You got like the Dragon Zord coming out. Yeah.
Don't tempt me. Do not tempt me. I will pitch this. Like literally, it's like, all right. So, wait, are you telling me that in your pool of IPs, you have the rights to both Power Rangers and Pacific Rim? All right, I'm doing that's my next crossover, Hasbro.
And that would be pretty funny though. Like, And out comes a big freaking Jaeger.
Yeah. Oh, imagine if Jason Bourne met the Daniel Craig version of James Bond, because Daniel Craig's version is just a Bourne ripoff.
Well, it would be America and Britain team up or against each other.
Yeah. Oh god,
That'd
that
be
would be
kinda
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like some interesting ones. Imagine if Kratos met Dante. Why won't you die? Or like imagine Kratos in the Marvel universe. Loki's like, I'm a god. I kill gods.
Man.
Yeah, the problem with video game characters is they're essentially very overpowered and whatnot. Also, there's another like genre crossovers where you take one character and you just put them into another universe, and like the interactions. Like imagine Cloud in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, you mean kind of like what they did with Kingdom Hearts there? If they did like a Final Fantasy cross Legend of Zelda.
Imagine like Kingdom Hearts 4 comes to the Switch 2, and on the Switch version there's an exclusive level where it's just Zelda.
Yeah. Or even going into the Mario universe.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm surprised
thing
Hearts hasn't taken the opportunity to do Star Wars or Marvel, considering that when the third game came out, Disney had those properties under their belt.
Yeah. Like I think there's been some leaked footage, because they've done live action Disney properties like Tron, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
You would think like a Keyblade lightsaber, the merchandise sells itself.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine just like a battle of Darth Vader and your team with Luke Skywalker?
Dude, like, if I had my druthers to make a video game, do you remember 92's Kid Chameleon?
I vaguely remember it, yeah.
So Kid Chameleon, the whole novelty of it was you had this kid that was like the best video gamer in the arcade ever, and he goes into this like virtual reality thing, and he gets trapped in there, and the AI is trying to kill him basically. But there's these like little Mario style blocks, and when he hits them, a helmet pops out, and then when he puts the helmet on, he becomes that character. Why not do that with every Sega property instead of doing like generic characters? He pops it, and all of a sudden he gets Sonic shoes, and he can turn into Sonic, or he hits it and turns into, I don't know, Alice from Phantasy Star, or like the guys from what is it, the Panzer Dragoon, like, or hell, let's go Nintendo route. Let's do it. He pops it, turns into Mario, he turns into Zelda, or he turns into Link, or that would be cool. Like your Captain N the Game Master rips off freaking Kid Chameleon and does the Kid Chameleon game with Nintendo properties.
Oh, that would be so cool. Have you heard of a game called Sega Gaga?
Yes. Yeah, I have it emulated. Holy crap.
Apparently the guy who created it wants an English translation. Can you imagine if they actually translate the game and release it on the Switch? Like, that would be so pretty cool.
Yeah, I would buy it. I would definitely buy it. Even though, like I said, I got the Japanese version, but I would definitely go for an English version.
So Nix, I have one for you. There are two flavors of this. So Jojo, Joseph Joestar, he gets plopped into the Bayonetta universe. How does he and Bayo interact?
God.
What?
I'm just thinking, I don't think that'd be a good time for anyone.
or what if...
I don't think any of the Joestars would ever be able to Jotaro has Star Platinum, so he'd be okay against the Angels, I guess, if he could see them. But Jonathan and Joseph's Hamon only works against vampires and zombies. And the Pillarmen.
Right.
But that's,
All right. Well, and then let's say
full nerd here.
I know that's why I'm asking you. What if Bayonetta enters the Joestar universe?
Be interesting because she'd be the only one able to use magic. Everyone else in that universe, well, not everyone, but specific people in that universe have stands, and they kind of function like angels in that only certain people can see them. Like, if you have a stand, you can see stands. If you don't, you can't see stands. So that it's basically like wild shit's happening and you don't know why kind of deal.
Yeah.
So they're kind of fast and loose with those rules. So I don't think she'd be very good. Unless maybe... Because only a stand can hurt another stand.
Oh, okay. Joseph Joestar versus Eminem.
Joseph wins hands down. He's
But
Just by showing up.
But Eminem has the ultimate stand. He literally wrote a song about it.
Yeah, no. Joseph
No. Seriously, if I wrote a fanfic, I'd literally have Eminem in the Joseph universe, and his stand is Stan, and it's like the most powerful stand ever.
But
I'm sorry.
Dissidia, Frost Comics brings up Dissidia games. They are really good. You got like all the different Final Fantasy universes colliding with the characters all meeting up, and kind of just. I actually don't even know what's going on in those games.
Can I just say, I wish Square would do a crossover with Final Fantasy and their other properties, like Mana or Parasite Eve, or like Xenogears. Like, they have actually a bunch of other non-Final. Also, why have we not gotten a Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest crossover? They have been merged for almost 20 years now. Okay, you guys talk about it. I'll be right back.
Better yet, just give us remakes of Parasite Eve.
And
Like,
dude,
good remakes, not the shitty remakes that you've been doing, Square.
Oh god,
Imagine
Parasite Eve in the style of RE2 remake.
do a remake of the entire Parasite Eve trilogy, and make it a consistent game genre instead of the wildly different game genres with each game.
Well, the problem is Parasite Eve 1 is a masterpiece. Parasite Eve 2 is okay, and the third birthday we don't talk about.
Well, the third birthday was cool, except for the weird naked shooting.
Not even
what
that.
The hell?
The story itself is just off the walls. I don't even think they know what the fuck's going on in it themselves. It's Eve. Oh, it's not Eve. It's actually her clone. Oh, but it's blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, blah. Okay, what the fuck is actually happening then? Who's the
Did you ever see the movie?
Oh,
Dude, the movie is like pants on head messed up too.
Oh god.
Well, yeah, because the movie follows the book more.
Well, that and the character from the movie is in the first game. He's the Japanese guy there.
The book came first, which, by the way,
look at that.
So the game is actually technically a sequel to the book, and they do actually reference the events of the book.
Yep. Yeah, and dude, like I watched the movie and I was like, what the hell is this? Because it's so different, and it's all in Japanese, and it's like it explains kind of like that one dude, the sidekick there, one of Aya Bray's sidekicks. He's in that. He's like the main guy, and it's like, wow, he goes from being the main guy to being sidelined for the hot blonde, and then when the sequel came out,
crush on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like totally perfect on her. But and then number 2 came out, and it completely it went from an RPG with like a cool, interesting like turn-based mechanic thing to like basically a Resident Evil clone.
Well, that's because Square, during the late 90s, Resident Evil was like really popping off, and I think Square realized, holy crap, So we need to do a Resident okay, we need to do a Resident Evil game. All right, let's just make a sequel to Parasite Eve, and that's a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I would have preferred them to just stick with the formula of the first game and just carry that over. And like you said, it like in the vein of the Resident Evil 2 remake, just do that, make a Resident Evil 2 remake, but only do it of Parasite Eve 1, 2, and 3, and clean that shit up.
I mean, if you look at the gameplay of Final Fantasy VII Remake, you could see a Parasite Eve game working very well in that system.
Can I just say one thing I really don't like about Third Birthday, like more than the other stuff, because I don't mind the stupid fan service. Oh, she's getting her clothes blown off. Ever. I don't care about that. It's weird, but Parasite Eve, the first game, had like all that advertising with Aya in like not wearing a shirt or basically nude, but not actually nude because they couldn't show anything.
I mean, they're doing the Tomb Raider. They're doing the Tomb Raider marketing.
Yeah, but like what I don't like is how they completely destroy the character of the scientist dude that had a crush on Aya because they made a fucking pervert in the third game. When his crush on her was really sweet and cute and innocent, he gave her like a little good luck charm in the first game because he just didn't want to see her get hurt.
Yeah, he was the science guy.
In the third game, he's perving on her, but it's not actually her; it's her younger clone.
The only way you'd even know about the younger clone is if you got the alternate ending. Yeah, if you played the first game and you went to the Chrysler Building and did the alternate ending. That's where you get the Maya, I think her name was, the clone.
Maya is Aya's twin sister, who Aya got an eye transplant from, and that's why her and Eve are connected, because the other eye went to the singer chick. The clone of Aya is from the second game.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
God,
yeah, we don't even talk about the second game. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, because that's the problem with Parasite Eve, where you could make a remake of the first game and it would probably be successful, but you can't really do a sequel because not many people played the second game. Almost nobody knows about the third game. Those who do refuse to talk about it.
Well, people didn't even. The branding was so bad that people didn't even realize. Like, I was like, dude, you ever played the third game of Parasite Eve? They're like, there's a third game? I'm like, yeah, it was called The Third Birthday. Wait, that's Parasite Eve?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it came out on the PSP was like it's PSP like exclusive. Like I'm a PSP fanboy, and even I admit, releasing it only on the PSP did not help.
That was a bad idea. Yeah, they should have made a PS2 port.
Like there are like PSP exclusives, like the God of War games and stuff like that. But those had really strong branding. Third Birthday, you didn't even recognize it. There hadn't been a Parasite Eve game in like 5 years by that point, so it's like, kind of a dead brand.
Man, that's such a shame because do you remember how revolutionary it was in 1997, 1998 when that game came out around Christmas time and it was a Christmas themed game? And they showed that one scene with the rat where its face split apart and stuff.
Oh, God,
yes. These are the greatest graphics I've ever seen in my life. I want that game.
I mean, have you watched that scene? The graphics, while dated, they still kind of hold up.
Yeah, it's still freaking freaky as hell, too. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, and like the music itself was amazing. The gameplay.
Oh, God, yeah, I got the soundtrack.
The gameplay was really great. Like the battle system was very unique for its time.
Yeah, I liked it. It was experimental and fun.
And it worked. I liked like the fact that it's gunplay. You didn't really see that in like RPGs. I like the parasite powers. Like honestly, just going back to play Parasite Eve, it's still a very fun game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Now imagine like a Resident Evil 2 or a Final Fantasy remake, prettier coat of paint, cleaned up controls, better camera.
Here's what pisses me off, okay? So Capcom has been on fire with their Resident Evil remakes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
People love the remakes. You know what other Capcom game came out around the time of Resident Evil 2? a game called Dino Crisis.
Oh
Which
yeah,
was
the
made
dinosaurs
use-
version.
which was made using the Resident Evil engine.
Hmm.
So it wouldn't be that much work to create a Dino Crisis remake.
Yeah, just use the same engine.
I mean, hell, you could even do Dino Crisis 2, which is similar. Like seriously, people and it's like, all right, we hear you want Dino Crisis, so here's our new game, Exo Primal.
Yeah, there you go.
So stupid. Like, just take the money, just take half the money you're going to use to make Exo Primal, and do Resident Evil, then do Dino Crisis remake. It just baffles me.
God, yeah, there's so many. Well, I was really happy that they're finally releasing Capcom versus SNK and Capcom versus SNK 2. I have them emulated on my Dreamcast, and I got them on the Naomi hardware.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably the apex of Capcom's fighting games. And
I think, from what I hear, MVC3 is not bad.
yeah, the Ultimate MVC3 is freaking sweet. But like, I miss that era of Capcom. Like, I remember when Power Stone, welcome to the Power Stone world. Like, what the hell is this? And then you're playing it, you're like, this is the coolest game ever. It's like Mario Party before Mario Party.
I don't know. I mean, they all right, Nix, you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Cool.
See yes.
Have a good
All
one.
right. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Yeah, we'll probably finish this topic, then probably wrap up.
Cool.
I don't know. They did make a couple Dino Crisis games. I mean, plus they have brought over games that were mild sellers and remade them before. Like, whoever thought we'd get a Live a Live remake?
Yeah. that was I had never even heard of that series, or Live Alive or Live a Live or whatever.
I've heard of it because I browse a lot of like fan translation sites, and that's one of those games. Or like the fact that like Snickety Jensen 3 Trials of Mana would come out. Not only the original version would come out, but then we get a full on remake.
Nice.
And is it because like Secret of Mana 2 is like a really if you do a lot of like ROM hacking or like emulation, that's a pretty well known game for fan translations.
Nice.
But yeah, like I'm waiting on a Breath of Fire collection. I think Capcom's gonna eventually do that.
Yeah. God, you know how I was saying Nintendo properties and Sega properties for Captain N and all that? Dude, Capcom could do it. There's so many noticeable, like, hey, you pick up the red headband and now you're Ryu. Or you pick up the handgun and you're now Leon Kennedy or Jill Valentine.
Yeah, it's all about companies with like a deep IP, and there's not many of those. Like obviously Nintendo, Sega. The only ones I can think of is like maybe Konami or Namco.
Namco. That'd be Tekken, Pac-Man, Soul Calibur.
Tails.
Oh yeah, the Tails series.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then obviously Konami. Also, you gotta realize Konami also owns the Hudson properties. So like Bomberman, Bonk, like
Bonk.
Twin Bee.
Man, that brings back some memories. The TurboGrafx did not last long here in the United States.
Yeah, it just I think it was a combination of like it had some good games on it, but it just I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a really crowded market in the early '90s. Like a lot of systems were trying to buy.
I remember I was so jealous because I had the Sega Master System, and there was this game that I bought for it called Vigilante, and it was basically like Kung Fu Master. You know, it was like the sequel or spiritual successor to it. And I saw in a store display a demo for Vigilante on the TurboGrafx 16, and I was like, that blows away the thing I have on the Master System by like generations. This is not fair. It actually made me retroactively dislike my Master System version.
Well, also the other problem with the TurboGrafx 16 is it kind of pulled a Jaguar, where it wasn't technically a 16-bit system. Like I think it had
it
like
was
a
8-bit.
16-bit. Yeah, and that held back the system dramatically.
Although they also kind of pulled the Sega where, because they were doing decent in Japan. Actually, the PC Engine outsold the Mega Drive in Japan. But what they did was they started bolting on all this crap where they had the Turbo CD, and then they did like the Turbo Power whatever. And it was like
there was the Turbo Duo, and then
there you go.
And then they also had the Turbo Express, which was a portable TurboGrafx 16. Like how crazy is that? Like it's 1991, and you have a TurboGrafx 16 game, and it's like, oh yeah, we're playing this cool, and then you put it into your Turbo Express, like that. Is mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, that tech at the time is unheard of. I mean, I remember the Sega, the Game Gear could only play Master System games. Like it had a little converter.
Well, the Game Gear is basically the Master System hardware portable.
Yeah. If it weren't for that awful screen, I probably would have liked it.
Yeah, like I actually have a modded Game Gear that has like a new screen and like batteries. The system is actually really nice because it's really comfortable to hold in your hand, and the games actually look pretty decent with a halfway okay screen.
Yeah, well, that and apparently they're like the Game Gear Shinobi games were freaking amazing on that. I know they tried to replicate that with some years later with the Sega Nomad, which was basically like a portable Genesis, and it literally did not take anything but Genesis cartridges. Like unlike the Game Gear, which you could either play Game Gear cartridges or you could get the Master System converter and play all your Master System games. The Nomad was literally just a portable Genesis. And when I say portable, I'm being very liberal with that because, like, you turn that on, the battery.
I've held them. I have held them, and they are like the Game Gear is comfortable to hold. The Nomad, it's like a brick. It's like you're holding a brick, honestly.
And it's asymmetrical, and it had like a port on the underside for a second controller.
They slapped that thing together They slapped that thing together so badly. Like the ergonomics are so freaking terrible. Here's what sucks about the Game Gear is if you actually look at the graphics, the Game Gear graphics blow the Game Boy Color out of the water.
Easily.
Imagine if Sega, if what they had done, let's say if they'd done like a Game Gear Mini or whatever, and it's just a Game Gear, it still accepts the cartridges, but it's smaller. Like let's say it's the size of the Game Boy Advance, and it has a better screen, better battery life, but it's essentially the same thing. That could have lasted. Like honestly, the Game Gear, like that configuration, it could have held its own against the Game Boy Advance even.
Well, what was sad is that even though Sega beat Nintendo to market with the Mark III in Japan versus the Famicom, the Sega Mark III or the Master System was technologically or whatever a vastly superior system. It had better colors, better sound, more sound channels, and all that stuff. The only reason why it failed, in my opinion, was the lack of games, and that was totally Nintendo's fault. They basically signed that exclusivity clause, and it completely it just corralled in all of the developers for Nintendo products only, and as a result, it starved the competition of games because Sega Master System and the Game Gear or whatever, if it could figure out that damn battery and the better screen, those were technologically superior to the Nintendo offerings.
Well, the thing is, the thing that a lot of people don't realize is by the mid '90s, because the battery technology of the early '90s and the battery technology of the late '90s are very different. That's why they're able to miniaturize the Game Boy and only have two different relays because batteries had got the introduction of alkaline batteries in the early '90s revolutionized stuff. So you could have had a Game Gear that took 2 AA's because they just would have like redone the hardware to make it a lot more battery efficient, give it a better screen, and accept 2 AA's. Like they would have like, I don't know if it would have beaten the Game Boy Color, but it definitely would have held its own. You know.
Oh yeah. Man.
The other problem with a lot of the handhelds of the 90s, like the Neo Geo Pocket and Pocket Color, were objectively better hardware than the Game Boy. Same thing with the Wonder Swan. Like the Wonder Swan runs off a single AA battery.
Wow. Dude, I didn't even know about the Wonder Swan until I got into emulation.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the Wonder Swan is like all of the Final Fantasy ports that we had in the early 2000s for like the Game Boy came from the Wonder Swan because Nintendo was still Square was still beefing with Nintendo at the time, so they released a bunch of Final Fantasy ports for the Wonder Swan, and that was the basis for the Game Boy Advance versions. Yeah, there's even like a Final Fantasy bundle for the Wonder Swan.
Yeah, well, I mean, freaking Nintendo and their. I'm sorry, but I know everybody loves the N64, but the decisions they made on that freaking platform really pissed off a lot of developers.
Yeah, and they basically repeated them for the game. Like the GameCube could have been the perfect system. Like
it was.
They just had the biggest mistake they made was mini DVDs. If they had done DVDs and not done anything else, they would not maybe. I mean, at the very least, they would have beaten Microsoft. I think if they would have had DVDs and allowed them to do the movies, probably 50 million would be my estimate.
Well, the reason why I say it would be the best selling system for that generation is because basically Microsoft was an unproven product. So the only reason why people bought that was because of Halo,
Yeah.
But like it within itself, its library wasn't as stellar as like the Xbox 360. Like it actually
it had some standouts. Well, and the other thing is a lot of them were PC ports. Like more
PC ports and are on other platforms, and like they're like, oh, we got shit or whatever. It's like, yeah, you're on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, you're roboting. To be fair, the ports on the Xbox were usually the best versions of that generation. Like
most powerful.
Like when Grand Theft Auto came over, like you could actually have individual fingers on the Xbox.
Yeah.
The PS2 was rather anemic hardware for its generation. Like people don't realize just how close the PS2 and Dreamcast were.
Well, the PS2, like hardware wise, like looking at it now from an emulator's perspective, I'm sorry, but interlaced graphics are awful. Like when everything is being displayed in half lines and stuff, it just doesn't hold up as well. Like the Dreamcast, oh my god, that still looks gorgeous today on modern like displays.
Yeah, GameCube also cleans up really well.
Yep. You get the Dolphin emulator in there. Wow.
I mean, hell, some Xbox games even back in the day could output the 1080i.
Yep. And they like the Xbox was the most powerful of the three from a hardware perspective. But if Nintendo dropped the ball with the N64. Like the Super Nintendo was clearly gaining a lot of traction. They were like Nintendo was already at the top of the roost when they had the NES. So when it came out for the Super Nintendo, they got a lot of transfer from the original, the original fans of the NES.
It's powerful hardware. Like it's actually like I think like if the Nintendo had used discs, CDs or even something else, like can you imagine like the power just like yeah.
Did you see the Nintendo PlayStation, the prototype?
Yeah, Sony tried to screw them over, and Nintendo pulled Nintendo. So, like, let's be honest, both companies were pretty shitty in that deal.
Yeah, yeah. There are no good guys in this story. Man, it's just a shame. We lost out.
Yeah, and also in my alternate history, where the Dreamcast actually successful, Xbox would have never come out.
Yeah, Xbox this is gonna sound like a cranky old guy, but like Xbox marked the beginning of the demise of this industry, because all it did was when the Xbox was originally like pitched, okay, the idea sounded too good to be true. They were like, Microsoft is going to release the Direct Xbox, which is all of the DirectX APIs are now going to be into a controlled gated garden console for the, idiot proof basically, for the living room. So all of your PC games can be played from this idiot box, the Direct Xbox. And I'm like,
they made a Steam machine in 2001.
Yeah, well, these guys ended up just making their own thing. And what they did was they convinced all PC developers, so everybody that made PC games, all the mod communities, everything died because they ushered in all of the development of games into their gated garden little console shit boxes. And we lost all of the mods. The last time you saw like a like Quake 3 map or a Team Fortress 2 stuff, like that's all because of Xbox ushering the console games. Like
mods still very much exist, especially on the PC side. I mean,
on
Skyrim,
the PC side,
because like Skyrim is probably the second most modded game of all time, next to Doom.
Yep.
Like when you talk about the pantheon of modding, like Morrowind. I mean, hell, Resident Evil 2 has a great modding scene.
Yeah, and it sucks because like we lost PC shooters. Like every shooter that has come out since around the Xbox 360 era has been redesigned to become a console shooter. Even the games you're playing on the PC, the lack of verticality, the lack of freneticism in fights, like there's no more rocket jumps, there's no more snap 180s, headshots, like none of that stuff. It's all very controlled and like the lateral, like all that stuff. Like when I was designing maps, it was always like, no, you can do that on a mouse and a keyboard, but we have to design it for a controller. Like I was working on Defiance there. Yeah,
because when it comes to first-person shooters, I can play them on PC and I'm okay, but on consoles, it's like a moving with molasses trying to move the camera.
You're in a tank.
Versus like on PC, it's like you said, boop boop boop, snapping the directions. Like me playing in GTA 5 on PC, and then me playing it with with a controller. It's almost like two different people.
Yep. Well, that's when I was designing challenges for Defiance, that multi-plat game / TV show. I would make a challenge with my controller, and then I would replay it with my mouse and keyboard, and I would get like maybe a gold or a gold or a silver or whatever for the challenge, which was like, how good you were at headshotting people running at you or killing hellbugs or whatever. And then I would replay it with the mouse, and I would get like a triple platinum perfect score. And I wasn't even trying. So I had to I literally had to make every freaking challenge in that damn game 2 versions. If you had the controller, it would load this this Lewis script. And if you had a mouse and a keyboard, it loaded this other Lewis script. And the shitty part about it was if it was dynamically recognizing if you had a mouse and a keyboard or a controller on the PC. So if you suddenly unplugged your mouse or powered up your controller, I had to also take into consideration that, okay, now move over to this other Lewis script, the one that's using the controller or the one that's using the mouse. And it was like an extra layer of bullshit that, in my opinion, really didn't need to be there, because it was like trying to shoehorn a genre into an incompatible platform.
Yeah, and even on PC, like let's say you're just doing like a PC centric game, you still have to like factor in controllers.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people who play PC games with controllers. I'm one of them.
Yep.
or like let's say the Steam Deck or any of the other like PC handhelds.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
speaking of
I
like
think,
the PC, yeah.
oh, sorry.
Where do you see the PC handheld space going? What's your opinion?
I think this industry as a whole is crashing. I would say in the next 5 years or the next maybe 3 years, AAA games won't exist, or if they do, it'll be like very few and far between. And I think the only platform that you'll actually see them on is like the Nintendo one. There might be, whatever the PlayStation 6 that nobody's going to buy, or the Xbox,
So
pay my
Nintendo
subscription
PC.
fee. Yeah, I
Nintendo
think
PC.
it'll be hybrid. I think a lot of people will have the whatever handheld device Nintendo sells, and then they'll have their PC. As far as the PC mobile experience goes, the way that like the Steam Deck works, I kind of see that as more of a novelty than a mainstream thing. Like I think Nintendo has kind of cornered that market for us, hell, I like my Steam Deck, but I think for the average,
I do too. I just I will say the only problem I have with the Steam Deck is the battery likes to likes the foobar itself, because I'm having to do another battery recalibration, and it's kind of pissing me off.
oh man,
Yeah,
well, why isn't it modular?
Yeah,
Like, why can't I just unscrew it, pull it out, and put it in a new one?
yeah, it's actually like glued in there. Like that's actually
Yeah.
what, like from what I've seen, like the parts on the Steam Deck are actually like somewhat easier to replace, except for the battery.
Yeah, and it's just like with the iPhone. Like I know I bitch about Europe all the time, but like Europe has done two really great things in the digital markets. The first being the GDPR, where they basically said that like any people that take your data or whatever, you have to give consent to, which would have saved us Americans after all of our information was stolen this past couple of months. And then another thing is, God, where was I going with that? They had the GDPR, and then there was another policy that they did that I'm trying to remember.
Well, the thing that I'm worried about is like, oh, you have to consent. Okay, it's a really shitty pop up that pops up on your phone where you can't literally do anything unless you consent to it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The other thing that Europe did, which was freaking awesome, was they told Apple to get screwed. Like, they basically said, you now have to make your batteries modular. And they also changed, I think they said, get rid of your stupid Thunderbolt shit and put in USB-C. So we have a standard.
I love how Apple tried to be like cute with it, and Europe's like, no, we know what you're doing. Yeah. Stop. I think they even tried to be like, well, you can buy you can use any USB-C, but only ours will charge at the full speed. I think even Europe told them to fuck off with that.
Yeah. And like that's when a government is working. Like a government should be protecting its people from predatory corporations, not facilitating them. So those three things right there, high fives to the European Union or whomever passed that legislation. But like here in the States, I really hope that whatever is affecting Europe comes here too, because I want a modular battery in my Steam Deck. I want a modular battery in my cell phone. Because a lithium
the right to repair
movement.
Yeah, the right to repair movement needs to make, like, shout out to Louis Rossman, who's been holding this work.
Hell yeah. That guy's awesome.
Yeah. And I do want to like answer Hardcore Bunny's comment. Yeah, the PC handle market is getting a bit oversaturated. Like, do you see like Acer recently released one, and it's just like, what does it do? It plays games. Like that's kind of why the PC handheld space is it's Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. Those are really the only ones kind of worth talking about. You get the Steam Deck for like the user interface, the Valve. The ROG Ally is Windows, but it's like more powerful. Like both kind of have like their place in the space. And then there's everyone else.
Yeah.
I do see PC handheld becoming more popular, and I do think I wouldn't be surprised if Valve tries to bring back the Steam Machine.
Yeah, well, as far as consoles go, I hate to say it, but I think that this will probably be our last. Like, they're talking about, oh well, this is the end. You know, we're getting to the sunset or sundown period of this console generation, and it's like this console generation didn't even kick off. Like, there's literally no reason to own a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
But so, what are you going to do? You're gonna go try to sell a PS6, dude? You're not even going to sell your $700 freaking PS5 Pro. Nobody's gonna.
I love all of the cope on Twitter. Like, it's a luxury. No, it's not a luxury item. A PlayStation is not a BMW. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, they're not accepting. It's like, no. I just can't wait for the Switch 2 to be. It's probably going to be 400. As much as I'd like it to be 300, maybe it's 350. But no less than that.
Well, they need to learn what they, from the mistakes they made with the Wii, and make sure their marketing team doesn't give it a stupid name that makes it confusing. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of why the Wii U failed is because people's moms, in particular, thought the Wii U was just an overpriced peripheral for the Wii.
I will say, Nintendo does have a very bad habit of when they're winning, they tend to shoot themselves in the foot, and they have been winning.
Yes, they ebb and flow.
Honestly, even if they call it the Super Nintendo Switch, it's a stupid name, but I think enough people would understand. Because Super Nintendo, was upgrade of the regular Nintendo.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a very clear brand distinction.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they called the Super Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that was what I heard. Was it's in one of its internal, like, how they have all those weird internal names for their projects, kind of like how Sega had all their consoles named after planets. I remember hearing somebody tossing around they called it the Super Switch. And I also heard double switch, so I don't know which one.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go back to the DS days.
From what I heard described, and again, take this with a big grain of salt because it's rumor, it's not reliable, and the person that I spoke about this to, I haven't spoken to in over 10 years. That's how long this thing's been in development. But what they were saying was that it's harnessing foldable screen technology, and that basically when you go into handheld, you can go into vertical or like handheld mode or whatever, and it basically closes like a clamshell, and on the back of the clamshell there's a screen, and then you can open it up and there's a tall thin screen or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know,
because the problem is, like, the Switch, if you actually go back to the announcement of the Switch, they had so many features that they never end up using.
Oh God, yeah.
And because I know Nintendo, they love their little features and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's why they have consoles. They want to show
look at the 3DS. It had all these gimmicks, and it eventually just it plays games.
Yeah, here's the 2DS. Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, Sony might. I think Sony's gonna make a handheld. I think Sony's gonna make a new PSP, or something.
I think they'll go software. I think
eventually they will.
It'll be like Sega. You'll see a Sony property on a Nintendo hardware or on your PC. We're already seeing that now with PC games.
Yeah. I think so. Sony probably will. Xbox, I think they'll probably just come out with a new console. Like, all right, guys, it's been 5 years. Here's a new thing. Have fun,
dude. Whatever the hell they've been doing, like Phil Spencer and those guys. What the hell? There's no reason. There's literally no reason to own an Xbox, like an Xbox Series X. Just get a PC. Like, they're literally selling you the software. They're selling you the Games Pass or whatever?
Game Pass.
They're selling you Game Pass, and you can get Game Pass on any platform. So there's no reason to go and get an exclusive Microsoft platform. What the hell? Like, you killed oh yeah, we lost this console generation. Dude, you told customers they didn't need the platform.
See, and I think a lot of people are realizing, because remember in the beginning of this generation, there's a sentiment like, oh, we've gone beyond exclusives. We don't need, like, there's this whole narrative of we don't need exclusives. Yes,
It's more of the platform. Yeah, why should I buy your platform if I can go and get every other game elsewhere and I can, hell, at this point, why would I need to buy a console when I can just buy a PC?
Yeah, the only reason people buy an Xbox is because they've been playing Call of Duty with the same people since the 360 days. And it's like, all right, get the new Xbox because of Call of Duty.
Yep. Yeah, and now it's like you get it on Steam or whatever you get, or Origin or whatever the hell Call of Duty's on. I don't know.
I mean, technically, Call of Duty's owned by Microsoft.
Oh, okay. Well, then you get it on Windows or whatever, and you don't have to pay a monthly fee to play with your buddies anymore.
Also,
everybody.
I would not be surprised if World of Warcraft comes out on Xbox.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
see World of Warcraft lasting much longer, to be honest. I think they're going to go with the classic, the old ones. And it's just
they're
gonna
already
be
ruined
mode.
Classic. Classic is already ruined. They've been already doing that. The problem is, like, they brought back in Chris Metzen. They're doing we're doing the War Within. We're trying to set up the next 20 years of storytelling because they finally run out of Warcraft 3 villains to beat up. Yeah, like just think about it. They basically coasted off of 20 years off of like, all right, let's kill Arthas, let's kill Queen Ujara. Wait.
Oh, I stopped caring about the frickin' lore after Arthas died. Everything else has been garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let's take on the gods. Okay, you fought Sargeras. The end. Like,
yeah.
remember they tried to say the Blizz devs were the Titans?
Sargeras wasn't the ultimate evil. It's the Void.
Yeah, that's so stupid. That's what happens when you don't meter out your power creep. Like, where do you go from gods? The Void. Okay, I'm gonna fire magic missile at the darkness. Like, dude, it's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
like, not only that, but like, Blizzard has this, like, you can tell that the Blizzard from 20 years ago or whatever is not the Blizzard of today, because every one of their properties they've just made worse and worse. Diablo is shit. I'm sorry, but Diablo 4 is unplayable. That game is boring as fuck. What is it? Overwatch 2. They basically stole Overwatch 1 from me and replaced it with this horrible, like, extremely predatory anti-consumer business model of Overwatch, and it sucked. The new characters look stupid.
I'm sorry. I do not believe for a goddamn second that, like, single player stuff is too hard. We're just not going to do it. No, they knew exactly what they were doing. They just wanted to change the monetization, and that was how they did it. And they knew goddamn well that if Overwatch 2, like, let's just go back to playing Overwatch 1, they wanted to remove that option.
Exactly, yeah, because they were giving people things away for free, like that, and you can tell the art team was designing the game instead of the actual game designers. There's so many things in there. I'm like, how the hell did this get by? Like, they make these alternate costumes because they need to monetize their game, and they put a big glowing head on whoever the hammer guy is. I freaking forget their names, but the big dude with the hammer, they make his head glowing, and it's like, wow, let's look at the metrics. Wow, he's suddenly getting headshot a lot more. I wonder why. Like, you dumbass. Like, you're letting art team, which, granted, I gotta say this. The art team at Blizzard is top notch. Like, those guys and the guys over at Riot Games, those are my favorite art. Like, they understand art, like, in visual language so well.
Yeah.
Like,
Why?
talented.
I still don't understand why Blizzard hasn't created like a movie or a cinema or just like a Netflix series on their own.
Yeah. They could have charged money, like, however much it costs to make those blur style cinematics for World of Warcraft, or whatever intros they're using for their games. Like, I think I've seen it in Diablo 2 or Diablo 4. But, like, if you use that same technology could you turn a profit on making a feature-length film
All right.
in a Netflix series?
Let me kind of break it down. Let's take the budget of the Warcraft movie. Now let's slash it in half, and then let's give that to the Blizzard team. They make it in half the time of the Warcraft movie.
Yeah, that
Like-
I did not like that.
Or
Warcraft.
like it was okay, but it was.
I like the orcs.
Everyone did. That was
Yeah,
literally, like,
the orc stuff
everyone
was
loved it.
amazing. As soon as you went to the human side, I'm like, this is dumb. Like this looks like a B movie.
Yeah, the problem is the orcs were great. Not just like the CG on them was amazing, but the story was great.
Yeah, I really
The
like
humans were just generic fantasy tropes. Like,
and they were diverse, which was dumb. Like I didn't
mean,
like.
it's fantasy
Medieval
kingdom
Europe.
side. I don't know.
Well, it was like medieval. It'd be like if you made like the Mists of Pandaria, where they were like on the wandering island, and like suddenly everybody's Latino,
Oh god.
and I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Chen
they just-
storms out. The head Mistweaver is a black Latina female.
yeah, exactly. It's like this is dumb. Like you have a whole world to explore, and yet you consolidate everybody into a Benetton ad in one location, and it looked dumb. And I think that's why I liked the orcs better, because the orcs were all mono race. You know, like you had the green skins and the brown skins, but there was a reason for that. Like they explain how like the fell magic turned this, stained his skin green.
Or even like even among the brown you had like different shades. Like the frost wolves were more of a lighter shade, but like the black another clan would be a darker shade of brown.
But they were all like, they didn't look like they came from different parts of the world. You know what I mean?
No, they
Like,
did look like it. But also it's like so Warlocky guy is gathering all the orc clans from all around Draenor. Okay, that makes sense why there's like different shades of orcs running around, because
yeah, but the clans were the same. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
when you
exactly.
saw the Black Hand clan, or the what I can't remember the stupid names, the Hammerstorm or what, Windhammer,
Yeah.
They or Doomhammer clan, like they all had, like they looked like they were of that thing. So like when you got the guys from
Like
one side of the world,
you see an orc and be like, all right, that looks like a Frostwolf. Oh,
Yeah.
they are from the Frostwolf clan.
yeah. Versus imagine the Frostwolf guy looking like he's from the Doomhammer clan, and it's like, wait, what? Like, and that's basically what they did with the humans, where it's like, this is dumb. Like this looks like a. I honestly think that the Hercules Legendary Journeys and Xena Warrior Princess looked of a higher caliber, a higher budget than the Warcraft movies, human stuff. If they would have just made it about the orcs and completely threw out the whole human stuff, maybe maybe cast somebody better for Medivh instead of that guy that was in X-Men. Like,
it was the guy from Into the Badlands. That's who played.
Yeah, that was a terrible casting choice for Medivh, because you play the game.
Oh no, Medivh. I don't think he was an X-Men.
Yeah, he was the winged guy, wasn't he? Wasn't he Angel?
All right, I got to look this up now. Ben Foster is.
Yeah, Ben Foster, and I think he played Angel in one of the X-Men movies.
Actually, one sec. I have his IMDb thing. Hold up. Make WoW non-canon. There, problem solved.
Yeah.
Or how about we just take all the materials that all the backstory and just like shoot it out of an actual canon.
Yeah.
God.
World of Warcraft has also become the Las Vegas of fantasy, where it's like, you remember how in South Park it was like, Simpsons did it. Well, Warcraft has done
I love how Warcraft isn't even on like his known form.
Yeah, because it's such an embarrassment.
There's Warcraft. I do not recognize any of these movies.
Yeah, he's poor guy. He's
the Mechanic. That was like that Christian Bale film where he got like really skinny. You're right. He did play Angel.
Yeah, it's not a good, like, Yeah, I don't have any problem with the actor. I think he did his role.
Oh,
fine,
he's in
but,
he's in the Punisher. Interesting.
oh yeah.
Uh,
But like,
oh, he was in Tracing Geeks. Holy crap!
yeah, he's been around for a while.
Yeah, his
But
first
it just-
credits 96.
You play the game and you have a very defined view of that character, Medivh. And then when they brought him, and I was like, Ben Foster does not look anything or even sound any like. I guess I'll take your word for it.
Like you want it, like we were talking about lore earlier. They really fuck with the lore because, like for example, did you know? Do you want to know who Medivh married? Garona.
Really, he married the half orc chick.
Yeah, and in the movie, it's implied that Garona is his daughter.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. God. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I do like they kind of hinted at stuff, like you had the Draenei there, you got like a hint at Sargeras. It had some really great Easter eggs in it, and I do like the costumes. I like how they actually gave him like the big ass shoulders, and like the swords were paddles.
I wish they just CGI'd the people. Like the orcs look so good, and then you put them next to these like cheap ass human looking dudes, and it looks very like clashing of styles. Like Warcraft is a very unique style. Basically, the nomad style. Guy's forearms and his hands are as big as, if not bigger than, his head. And when you see a human, like a real proportioned person trying to fit in that world, it looks so out of place and dumb.
And not only that, but like look at if you compare Garona.
Yeah, she looks weird.
Yeah, he's half orc, but she looks like she should be bigger. It's like, look at this dude.
Yeah,
like
at least she got like good. China.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you know that they actually just colored her skin digitally?
Yeah. I saw they showed the behind the scenes or whatever, and it's literally like she had dust on her too.
I mean, yeah, give them some credit. The CG was insane. Oh my God, Henry Cavill of the list. Yes.
Yeah, that looks freaking awesome.
Yeah. He'd do it too, because he's a Warcraft fan. So him playing Arthas, he would do it.
Yeah, I would have preferred if they just made like a Blizzard cinematic instead of this kind of movie. Like,
yeah, and I thought like the way the ending was like really freaking stupid, where the king's like, "Kill me so you can ingratiate yourself to the clan." Oh, I found the dagger. Now I hate her. Even like Khadgar was like, well, maybe there's a point. No, I hate her now.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Like Khadgar was literally calling out the screenwriters.
Yeah.
Oh God, this looks good. Oh my God, yes. Like all the orc stuff looks really good.
Yeah, that looks amazing. And
Even
if they would have just stuck with that, and made the people CG as well, because they're just acting on a green screen. Like it looks so dumb and out of place.
This does not look good.
No, like the Griffin looks great, but that dude looks freaking weird. That looks like somebody photoshopped it in.
Yeah. Oh, I love this shot where he like removes his wolf pelt. You see it from behind. That's just a really good shot.
Yeah.
Also, female orcs.
Yeah. Why wasn't that like that looks closer to what the half orc looked like than what we got?
Yeah.
Yeah, they also have that weird thing where like if you played Warcraft, the female orcs they're not as buff as the dude, or I should say they're not as broad shoulders as the dudes, but they're still noticeably larger than humans. Like if you looked at their set, you wouldn't mistake them as a human.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
let's kind of start wrapping up here. So Chris,
Mhm.
I hear you have something you wish to show.
Oh hell yeah, man! My let me see if I can share my screen.
Nope. I got you.
I got
All right.
the
All right, brother. Chill.
yeah. Check out what I got on my screen. I want to show what arrived today in the mail. So
Ooh.
I got the manga edition, Jumoku no Taisen, which is the War of the Trees in Japanese. And the book, the book's in English, so you can actually read it. But all of the onomatopoeia is in Japanese, and it's read from right to left. And it's like over 180 pages, and I included a nice little bestiary in the back or the front, depending on how you're going to read this. And in addition to that, I've got the sign up. We got the additional kind of cool perk bonus, exclusive holofoil card to those. There'll be a link available to those that sign up for the mailing list when the campaign kicks off. And then there's 3 versions of the book. There's your standard edition, which is full color. I think it's like 114 pages, and it's done by the original team that did the first book. We have the alternate art edition, also full color, which is done by a completely different art team. Same book, same story, just done by a different art team. And then the manga edition, which I showed earlier, which is in black and white, which combines books 1 and 2. So if you're new to the Infinite Tale story, you can jump in with this one and get it at the ground floor. And just to show off the kind of the differences between the 2 art styles, you can pick your poison. And then this talks about how basically of these 3 books, whichever one gets back the most will decide the future of the Infinite Tale series, and then we'll proceed with going forward with book 3.
Nice.
That's totally contingent upon whether or not the series gets funded. If it doesn't, then obviously it's game over, man. But
game
all
over, man.
Stuff,
game over.
yeah. Well, here's some good news. So these 2 books right here, I have in hand. They're already printed. I've been doing some quality checking, making sure everything's acceptable because I don't want to put my name on everything. It literally says Christmas Media. If it looks like crap or it's not something that I think it's of a quality that I want to represent myself, I'm not going to sell it. So I've been scrutinizing these books and making sure there's no weird defects like backwards pages or crinkles or whatever other defects you can get. But yeah, it basically, of these 3, whichever one gets backed the most, that's what I'm going to proceed with going forward. And I have these 2 books that I'm going to be bringing weekends, not this weekend, but next weekend in Manchester, New Hampshire, at the Granite State Comic-Con.
Nice.
I will have these 2 books for sale, so you could pick them up and buy them right then and there.
All right.
And thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me shut up.
Let me just go to mine and let's play this beautiful trailer, shall we?
Sweet. Oh.
Knowledge is like a seed. When sown in fertile minds, it opens doors to new possibilities. Truth, once buried by the ages, is again revealed. The unimaginable becomes demystified. New wonders are discovered that transcend the limitations of previous understanding. However, some doors should never be opened. Our tale continues with the divergent paths of our heroes. As a naive king toils with ancient powers beyond his control, a grieving queen makes a fateful decision that forever changes their world.
Not
Sweet.
gonna lie, that's pretty hype, sir.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you've been always so good to me, so not gonna pass up the opportunity to let you chill. So as for myself, I too will be doing a con this weekend. If you're in the Metro Detroit area, please come to the Monroe Comic Con. I'll have copies of all my stuff, and feel free to say hi, punch me in the face if you want. Please don't. Saturday evening, after I get done the con, I'll come back and I'll be streaming some Batman Arkham City. This is a Halloween game. Monday, we'll be doing Comics Watch, talking about shipping. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This was a really great stream. Thank you, Chris. Fuck you, Jared. Nick's awesome. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.